Today, we're talking about the July 2025 crypto investment outlook. So much stuff we're going to cover today. We're going to be bringing up our team in a second. Some of our analysts, we're going to be walking through where we're at in the cycle, how we're finding altcoins that are outperforming when 99% of altcoins are not performing. And, if you bought back in November, maybe you're down at the moment. We're going to talk about that. We know a lot of you are time poor, so we're going to really dive into the trends, give you some strategies, some tips. I'm going to be walking through my strategy and then ultimately help you build an exit strategy because we know so many of you are really struggling with that. G'day, Ravi. Welcome, mate. Taz from Melbourne. G'day, Nat. Fantastic. Cool. Well, we might crack into it. As I said, we're going to be going 2 hours on the knocker. So much to get through. No stuffing around. If you haven't already, please download the 7-step strategy document. We're going to put that in the chat for you guys to download. That's going to help you really with your strategy today. If you need to jump off, we will send a replay. However, it will only be for a short period of time because this content gets outdated as the markets move. So hopefully you enjoy it. We know it's in the middle of the day. Hopefully knocking off, whether you're at work or at home. I'm going to absolutely crush it and get into it. So let's jump in. I know your time is super, super valuable. So we want to try and pack as much as we can into this session so we're not wasting your time. I know you're smart. I know you're busy. The fact that you guys are already here is putting you so far ahead of the rest of the crowd. And I'm putting that not lightly because so many people just try and think they can buy crypto, hope for the best and it pays off. Those days are done. This is not 2017 anymore. This is not 2021. You can't just buy and hope. Those days are gone. We've put weeks and weeks and weeks of effort into this. We put a lot of time and effort, especially into the insights, and they change, right? Crypto is moving at such a rapid pace and this is a 2-hour session. How can we give you the most information? And thank you so much for everyone that filled out the survey. We had over 600 people that told us their goals, challenges, everything they needed. So we've tried to really optimize and give you as much as we can today in this session. Now, you can use the chat on the right-hand side. We've got Q&A throughout. We will answer all of your questions or as many as we can at the end. So make sure you use the chat. Welcome, everyone. G'day, Melissa. Hey, Luke, Neville, Michael. Awesome, folks. Absolutely crushing it. Heading up to 700 live, which is absolutely brilliant. I want to bring up DT really quickly. DT is our head of member success. He's going to be in the chat. DT, how are you, man? I know you've been busy, mate. Markets are firing.
Good, mate. Yes, absolutely. Exciting times. Everyone's really just wanting to gear up to get their strategy in order.
Yeah, awesome, mate. So you're going to be in the chat. If anyone has any questions or needs any help, DT will be there. DT also manages all of our members. We've got over 1,000 clients we work with, so you'll see him a little bit more later on. And later in the session, we'll share a little bit about how you can work with us. And if you are interested, you'll be speaking to DT. So thanks, DT. Yep. See you in the chat, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Fantastic. We're also going to bring up Matt and Simon. So we'll bring up Matty first. Matty's our Director of Research at Collective Shift. Been full-time in crypto since 2017. He is probably the best analyst I know in terms of, being able to find early-stage altcoins. And hopefully we can bring Matt up if we can. But, yeah, Matt and I have been working together for a long, long time. Matty, can you hear me?
Sure can, Ben. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Keen to share some insights with you. And wow, it's been a big 24, 48 hours in crypto. So we're all through that now. And yeah, a big couple of hours ahead.
Yeah, very excited, mate. Thank you so much. Matty, and you're going to hear from Matty just in a second. Thank you, mate. We'll see you in just a sec. But yeah, Matt leads our team. We've got a full team. We've got over 17 employees at Collective Shift. Majority here in Melbourne, and Matt leads those folks, an absolute legendary team of insights. You're going to share and hear a lot of those today. And also Simon, we'll bring up Simon coming from Adelaide. Simon's one of our senior research analysts. He is the man behind Sui. This is the Sui man, mate. You've been happy days for a little while.
Definitely, mate. Happy days for a little while. It's not so great the last couple of months, but hey, that's crypto. It's very volatile. So we'll get in and talk about that and talk about, what we're seeing in the market coming up as well.
Brilliant, mate. Very excited about your session. We'll see you in just a sec. Thank you, sir. Now, what are we talking about today? First of all, who's in the room? Over 700 people in the room right now. We had over 1,300 people registered for today's masterclass, which is the most we've ever had on a live session. The summit we had a couple of months ago, if you were here, we had about 1,200 people, which was epic. Most of you are managing 100K portfolios. So this session today is tailored towards those of you that have more than 100K in your portfolio. And the three main goals or objectives we found that all of you had in common predominantly was capital growth, achieve financial freedom, and to live off passive income. And that sounds really great, in my opinion. So we're going to dive headfirst into that and try and help you as much as we can. But the biggest challenges we heard you all had was, one, you didn't have a clear exit strategy. And so many people do not have a clear exit strategy, especially if you're time poor. We are not for traders here at Collective Shift. If you're a trader, you will get very little out of today's session. We are for time poor investors that are really trying to build their long-term wealth in crypto. And we know a lot of you are just lacking time, lacking knowledge, conflicting information, so much mumbo jumbo out there in crypto. It is so hard to keep up, especially if you've round tripped before. And we know a lot of you have round tripped. I round tripped my first cycle about 8 years ago, and we have developed a process to help you actually not do it again. And there's a lot of things that we've taken over our 8 years of experience working with over 1,000 people to really, combine this into a process we're going to share with you today and help you really crack into it. So if this sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many people are in the same boat. And I wanted to start off with the chat. I know there's a bunch of people firing off here, so welcome. Mark was in his lounge room. Neville's from in Queensland. Quick questions. Be honest. And if you're on the summit, I asked some similar questions. How many of you are holding altcoins and not sure what to do with them? How many of you have been holding altcoins from previous cycles, wondering if it's going to come back? It's down 40%. We had a dump yesterday, maybe back in April, down 60, 70, 80%. And you're starting to figure out maybe these altcoins aren't it. How many of those are you holding and not sure what to do with them? Who's felt unsure about whether to actually take profits? Or if you're afraid of missing the top? I know a lot of you are like super scared of missing the top again, considering this is probably going to be the biggest bull market I think we're going to have for a little while. Are you guys in the same boat? Saying sure, yep. Jamie, yes. Joe, Mel, yes. Gina, nope. Nope. Gina's dialed in. That's great. Who's round tripped a cycle before? I have when I first started 8 years ago. It sucks. You get pretty excited. You take the screenshots, you send it to a friend or family, start looking at what you're going to buy, and then you don't take profits. Jonas, missing the top is the biggest fear. George, what if they're all underwater? Well, you're in the right place, mate. Grab a scuba kit. James, Karen, yes. Amazing. Right. Everyone's in the same boat. Good. It looks like you're in the right place. What if you don't feel as though you have enough time to stay on top of crypto with everything else going on? I think that's a really big one. Crypto's moving faster than ever. There is millions more coins than ever before. We have 17 people that work for us here at Collective Shift, and it is a big job to stay on top of crypto, especially if you're time poor, you're a professional, you got a family. Do you feel like you don't have a lot of time to stay on top? Or maybe you do, and then you maybe listen to an influencer and he tells you to buy some crappy altcoins, and now you're really in the pickle. All right. And what do you think the biggest factor is in crypto success? Do you think it's the person or the process? Like the people that are winning in crypto, what do you think is the difference? Do you think it's the person or the process? That's an interesting one. Do you think you have to be a special person to win in crypto? Or if you had the right process, do you think you'd be able to win? All right, Susan, you want time abundance? Gina, yep, process. Process, K, process, Joanna's process, the process, both, process. Yep. Karen, you're bang on. All right. If any of these hit home, you are absolutely in the right place today. So we're going to cover all of this today and get everything you need to try and crush this crypto bull market. So my goal for you today, we've only got 2 hours, but I really want to give you the confidence. All right. If you've got a lot of uncertainty, maybe you're wondering if you're in the right place, you made some poor decision. I want to give you confidence. I want to give you clarity. There's so many different voices in crypto. You can be absolutely thrown about. All right. I want to give you really good clarity, really independent quality insights today. And I really want to help you try and unlock that potential and really try and help you make wealth in crypto, because most people don't. Most people on here just bullshitting and telling you awful advice. I want to try and actually genuinely help you. And if nothing else today, I just want to help you make money. All right. I've been doing this for 8 years. I love creating content. I love helping people with crypto. There's enough people online you can go listen to get bad information. And today I really want to try and, break through that. So what do I need from you? I really want you to implement. So we've got the 7-step strategy doc. This is a process that we use, that I use personally. It's made me life-changing amounts of money in crypto. We work with all of our clients and go through this exact process. I want you to download that. Hopefully the guys have put that in the chat. Download that, print it out, do whatever. Get ready, because we're going to go through that process today. Okay. And we're going to help you actually talk about your portfolio, talk about your strategy, talk about an exit plan. We're going to give you actual blueprints to have a look at that. Okay. So I want you to really implement. Don't be that person I see, these conferences in Sydney later in the year. You come up to me and you tell me a round trip to get. Okay. Really visualize yourself winning this bull market. The next 2 hours honestly could change everything. Those that implement, we know the results. We had the summit a month ago. All right. We had 33 new platinum clients become members of ours, and they are absolutely crushing it. All right. They are loving it. All right. So that 4 hours that we spent with them, we try to condense it and give you an even faster time today. So it could really change your life. Okay. So put the kids to, well, I was going to say put the kids to bed. It's only 3 o'clock. Maybe don't do that just yet, but put everything aside, get ready to dial in. I'm going to start to cover everything in just a second. So before I jump into the content, if you don't know who I am, maybe you saw an ad, you're going, who the hell is this guy? I was just a regular kid from Tassie. I grew up. If you don't know where Tassie is, I'll put a little arrow there so you can check that out. Hopefully you know where Tassie is. I shared a bunk bed with my brother until I was 18. All right. And this is me moving to Melbourne from a small town. My parents still rent. Right. I wasn't top of that class. I didn't have family money. Didn't come from some crazy wealthy family. No finance degree. I actually quit school. All right. But my one goal I had was financial freedom. I hated not being able to do the things I wanted to do. All right. I wanted to live a life that, most people, aren't able to do. All right. And the only way to do that was to actually work and figure it out. All right. And I wanted that freedom. I wanted to buy my parents a house. I want to give them the life that, they've supported me my whole life. All right. And school never taught us how money works. And when I started to figure this out, I was like, what the hell is going on? Right. They don't teach you that savings, is just eroded away from inflation. You get told to budget while the banks get bailouts. The world is genuinely against you. And I thought, fuck this. I'm not playing this game. Like, seriously, this is absolutely nonsense. Why does no one know anything about this? And then I found crypto. All right. At 17, I went all in. That was about 9 years ago. That was me with my little Bitcoin t-shirt, slightly overweight, probably more than slightly at that point. All right. Went all into crypto. I quit school, sold my business, took every dollar I had and went all in. I bought Ethereum at $80 and I bought Bitcoin at $1,000. This is me buying about 90 ETH back in the day. Wish I bought a lot more. All right. And everyone thought I was insane. What the hell is crypto? People think you're insane now. 8 years ago, it was completely different. All right. So I got in early. I was 17, 18, made a lot of money, right? But on paper, because I didn't have a sell strategy and I had no idea what I was doing. Made all this money, had no guidance, no plan, right? And many others were in the same path, right? And the same journey. I know a lot of you on the same journey. You round-tripped. I round-tripped everything, right? Made life-changing amounts of money at 18, 19, thought I was absolute king and just lost it all right? Because I didn't sell. I lost $120,000 on a single trade, right? There was actually bigger losses, but they were things that I sold too early. It was a nightmare when I first started, right? Trying to get your head around this space is super, super difficult. And I was doing it all on my own. All right. And as a 19-year-old who thought I was just going to be an absolute multimillionaire by 20 and then lost it all, it absolutely crushed me. All right. But that was the turning point. That's when I got serious and I teamed up with Matt, who you just met, who's our now director of research. All right. And he's been an absolute game changer in helping us and our clients really build the strategy and not shooting from a hip, right? Building an actual system and a process to follow. The next cycle, I nailed the metaverse run. And before it hit, I sold and made life-changing amounts of money. I made 30 or 40x returns because I actually had a sell strategy. And I took those lessons into that sell strategy. And I was able to actually get out at the right time. All right. And that was real life-changing amounts of money. Here's a statement from my bank. I couldn't go further back from 2021. But there's my bank balance. And like me taking out $50,000 chunks. All right. This is the sell strategy. It's not trying to pick the absolute top and the bottom. We'll talk about soon. It is very, very difficult to do that. Right. However old I was here, like as a 21, 22-year-old, this is pretty cool. All right. But it wasn't luck. It wasn't hype. It was actual strategy. And I couldn't do it alone. I tried to do it alone. I was lucky, but I needed a strategy and a process, and I needed an edge. Because markets, there's winners and losers, right? There's left side and right side. There's winners and losers. We're not in some computer AI algorithm game, right? Markets are winners and losers. Someone buys, someone sells. You cannot have 100% winners. In fact, 99% of people, 95% of people actually lose. And the people that are in the 5% have an edge, all right? And once I found that edge, I started winning again. Started investing. And to prove it worked, we started sharing the process to see if other people could win as well. People followed, and guess what? They actually made money. And we're like, wow, maybe we're actually onto something here. Indigo was one of our first members. She doubled her portfolio in the first few weeks from joining us, right? She was a parent from the US, trying to do it all on her own on YouTube. She joined us, doubled her portfolio, right? And then we started sharing our frameworks online and helping more and more people, and more people reached out. I then did a TEDx talk, and things really, really grew. If you YouTube this, type in Ben Simpson TEDx, and you'll see I did a talk on crypto, one of the first ones in Australia. And I actually started explaining the genuine education around crypto, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and not the craziness that most influencers were talking about. And the results absolutely piled in. And that was the start of Collective Shift. That was about 5 years ago. This is our team. This was 2 or 3 years ago now. And we started hiring more team members, right? Researchers, analysts, data guys to help me build my portfolio, but also help our clients. And today I spend over $100,000 a month on our team. Right, this is probably more towards $150,000 now. I'm continuing to invest money back into my team to give me the best investment insights possible. This is my edge. Okay, this is my edge to help me with my investing. I'm losing my voice. So we scaled the research and coaching globally. All right, we started in Australia and we started to go globally, and We built the edge I wish I had when I first started, right? We built the on-chain data fundamentals and exit strategies. This is not just some crazy technical analysis, squiggly lines on a screen. We actually started to build genuine edge against the rest of the market. We built the team, the process, and the system to follow that's not guessing, no hype, and it just works. And that has been a repeatable process that I continue to use. And I wanted to build a crypto company built on trust and transparency, not just hype. No shields, no fake, no influencers. Guess what? That doesn't exist in crypto. You go to any YouTube channel online in crypto, and I guarantee you in the description, they've got some Bybit link, some crazy shitcoin link where you'll go and click and they make money off you trading, right? I wanted to build a business that was based on trust and transparency, results, and aligned incentives that genuinely actually help people. All right. And you can go to our Trustpilot here and check out these reviews. So many other crypto people, they just take a screenshot of someone else's 5 stars and throw it on their website. Like, it's just ridiculous, some of this shit that goes on. I know, because I used to work for a crypto YouTuber. It's the Wild West. The way we make money is if our clients make money, we make money. That's how it's a win-win. If you don't make money, we don't make money. I'm grateful to become a millionaire, multimillionaire by the age of 24. This is after literally sharing a bunk bed with my brother when I was 18. Self-made, didn't take, any money, all right, from my family or anything. I was all about trying to do it for myself. And now I get to travel the world, host events like this. This was in Sydney, where Bergs and I, the crypto podcast we do. And I help others make money along the way. I won an award the other night where our business did. I couldn't do it without our amazing team. And I had so many people come up to me, one guy in particular, who actually told me at this business, this was the Melbourne Entrepreneur Awards, that he's actually made more money following me on Instagram than his own business. He told me that on Saturday night. All right. It's crazy what impact you can have even from a free perspective. And that's what I love, helping and educating people for free. I absolutely love doing it. I travel the world and help people with crypto. And if I can do it, an everyday guy from Tassie in my bunk bed with my brother just a few years ago, you can do it too. All right. So let's actually talk results. Over the years, Collective Shift has honestly helped thousands of people transform their situations through crypto. Matt, this was our director of research who posted this. This was his first buy of 2022, called the $16,000 bottom of Bitcoin back in the start of 2022 when everyone was calling it was going to go below 10,000. Solana at $22. Matt's been long Solana since $22. It's been an absolute huge winner for us. Syrup, I recently took profits at 560% and still holding. It recently hit a 10x, my first 10x of this cycle, which is crazy considering 99% of tokens are down, which we'll talk about soon. Pendle, Matt, up 2,500. And some of our clients, we actually sell research to SwiftX, CoinSpot, and Coinbase. They're clients of ours, right? So if you use or are familiar with any of these exchanges, these are some of the biggest exchanges in Australia, or we get paid by some of these companies. That is our edge. This is our business revenue. This is off my P&L, right? Business revenue. We made $215,000 in revenue from businesses that we sell research to because of our edge. All right. This is just a sample of some of the people that win from week to week. This is just my free stuff. $50,000 in a week, up $110,000, $120,000 profit, up $45,000 in 2 weeks. Like, this is real stuff. They aren't whales. They're just everyday time poor investors with their own life, career, and family. None of these are traders. All right. I charged nearly $4,000 recently an hour to teach at a university. I get paid tens of thousands of dollars to speak on podcasts. Again, this is from zero. This is actually our invoicing. All right. This is for me to show up and talk about crypto on podcasts. I don't really have a lot of time anymore. So, I try and give out as much as I can on my own socials. But what I genuinely care about most is our clients. And our clients pay us over $15,000 to work with us directly. Right. That's a membership with us in our platinum service. And when people join and actually follow the system we built, things change. Right. Chris Judd is a member of ours. For those Carlton footy fans, he runs his own family office. He uses Collective Shift to make sure he doesn't miss out on anything day-to-day in crypto. Kent, he's been a member with us for 2 years, made $50,000 in a week. All right, can't recommend these guys highly enough. Chris paid off his mortgage. I helped him build his strategy, and he sold Bitcoin at the November top recently. He sold a couple of Bitcoin, paid off his mortgage, and now he's got his long-term stack, which is absolutely awesome. Kieran, who invested at the worst time, and he's still up 2.5x after working with me. Right, he lives in Bali, busy guy, he's a developer, needed to fix his portfolio. Peter, who wanted hands-on tailored advice, talks about how we're the perfect people that want to save time and actually work with, developing your own personalized strategy. Jay in his third bull market, bagged profits every single bull run, life-changing amounts of money. All right, absolutely crazy. Jason, he was staring at an 80% loss And now he's up 2.5x. I started working with him. He bought the top. Everything was down. Nearly gave up hope. He and I spoke. We caught up. We did our strategy session, fast-tracked the gains, and was able to turn around his portfolio from down 80% to up 250%. So are you keen to hear how we do this? I know it's a lot of stuff I've been covering. We're about to cover all of that to share with you actually how you can do this yourself. Because I know the challenges that are getting in your way. You're time poor. You can't keep up. You don't have an exit strategy. You don't know when to buy. You don't know when to sell. You've been overwhelmed by all this bullshit advice online. Right? You've been burnt before. There's some Discord group you're a part of. Maybe you join this other group. You realize it's probably a Ponzi scheme. Who knows? There is all sorts of crazy stuff that goes on in this world. All right, maybe you're just scared of making the wrong move. You got a lot of money in crypto, and heck, you don't even know who to listen to. You need a clear plan for what platforms and projects to use, where to buy, where to sell. Maybe you're just using spot exchanges, and you're getting slammed on spreads and fees. Maybe you've still got an exchange and not in the wallet. All right, maybe you don't have the time or confidence. Should have trusted your gut. Held too long and round tripped. You've got bags of altcoins you don't even know what to do with. Should you hold? Should you sell? You missed the last time, you're scared you'll do it again. You need to form a solid sell strategy. Or maybe you're just stuck binging a bunch of YouTubers and Twitter threads hoping someone knows what the hell they're doing. All right. And then you're just unsure about what to do. If any of that sounds like you, you're in the right place. All right. Is that sounding like you guys? David can't find a big enough garbage bag for his altcoins. Peter needs some alts that need saving. Isaac, for those of you that haven't met Ben in person, we grew up in the same city. He's always putting others first and one of the hardest. Oh, thanks, mate. Keep ripping, mate. Love seeing it. Cheers, bro. Okay, here's my goal for you today. Before we get in, Matt Simon about to come up and absolutely slam some amazing content. My goal is take you from being time poor, relying on a bunch of awful information, worry about missing the top, having no sell strategy, no structure, to knowing what to do, saving time, having a sell plan, and not round tripping again. And we're going to share our exact system for you to do that today. We're going to walk you through step by step on how our over 150 high net wealth clients are building multi 6 and 7-figure portfolios. We want to cover it all. All right. But again, back to that first question we asked at the start. Why do so few people win in crypto, even with the unlimited amount of information out there? It's literally unlimited amounts of information. Because information is not enough. You can scroll, you can watch your favorite YouTuber every day if you want. All right. You can consume as much as you want, but without a strategy and without understanding what it actually means for you, it all collapses. If I try and go and build a house without a plan, guess what? It's going to fucking fall down, obviously. All right. If you have a plan, you build it towards that, and that's what changes. That's where most people go down. They don't have a strategy, no sell plan, buy a bunch of random shit online and try to do it alone with high stakes while they're running their business or at their job with their family. You are just setting yourself up for failure. The truth is, it's not about the person. It's about the process. The person is not the variable. The process is. Follow the right process, get the right results. All right. And if I give you everything today, all the what, the how, and not the why, you'll see all the potential, but still do nothing different. All right. And I really want you guys to win because I've seen this before. You come enjoy these events, you get pumped up. Oh my goodness, Ben knows all the stuff. Let's go away and do it. And then nothing happens. All right. So why are you actually here? There is 922 people live on this thing right now, which is crazy, by the way. Why on earth are you here? Why are you listening? Why? Do you want to retire early, not have to worry about money again, provide for your family, finally get that kitchen fixed, finally buy your wife that handbag that she wants, pay off the credit card, win back the losses and prove to yourself you can do it, prove your mates you can do it, buy the car. All right, follow a strategy you actually trust and not just crap from an influencer. Whatever the reason is, that's why we've built the masterclasses for you, all right? We really want to try and make it real for you. Now, quickly before Matt and Simon come up, why on earth am I doing this? Why do we do this for free? Again, trust and transparency is the number one thing. Why would I put weeks and weeks and weeks into this summit, run a bunch of ads, put all my team's effort into making this the most valuable thing for you guys? Why on earth would I do that for free? Well, to be 100% honest, I'm here to make money too, okay? We're here to make you money, and we're here to make money as well. How do we do that? Well, the market's moving right now, all right? And we know the opportunity for this bull market may be less than 12 months, maybe less than 6 months, all right? And if you don't actually act, you're going to miss out again. I want to be super clear about how we make money. Our business model is super simple. We charge a subscription fee for our research, coaching, and membership, And if you make money, you stay and we get paid. And if you don't, you leave. That's the only way this works. We don't do paid advertising. We don't do affiliates. We don't do paid promotions. We don't do shills. A lot of your favorite influencers, by the way, get paid in tokens. They sign non-disclosure agreements and then promote their shitty altcoins to you. Then you click their Bybit link and they make even more money off you. And then they don't care what happens after that. That's how most people work, all right, in crypto, which is sickening. I know because I used to work for a crypto YouTuber. It's crazy. We don't get paid to promote tokens. We don't get paid to promote products. We are 100% independent. We only make money if our clients make money, if we deliver value and you win. We help you win. We both win. And that's why we do these free masterclasses, to give you as much valuable information as possible to help you actually capitalize and not miss out. All right, so over the next 2 hours or hour and a half, you're going to hear from some of our leading analysts, see all the tools, everything you need to win. And at the end, if it makes sense, I'll share with you our platinum membership. It is absolutely not for everyone, all right? But it is designed for investors who are ready to save time, grow their portfolio, and follow a system. And you'll get coaching done for your research, the frameworks, everything you need, and you'll see some testimonials today, all right? We've also got some really cool end of financial year bonuses we're going to throw in, all right? But I want to make sure you actually get some value first, and then at the end of it, if you don't care what I say after that, that's absolutely fine. I want you to actually walk away and make some money. That's always my number one. And if you go, shit, that was actually good, I might have actually learned something, then I urge you to stick around and have a listen about what our platinum service is about. It's very limited in who we work with, so we'll share a bit about that later. All right? Okay, would you like to know exactly how we help everyone in our membership make money? I hope you're excited. Let's get into it. Matt and Simon, I want to bring you guys up. We're about to go through the insights on the market. We're going to do some exit strategies, all right? And we're also going to go through how and what we're looking at for the next 12 months, all right? But today's not about finding the next 10x project. It's not about the false promises, all right? It's not about hype. It's just strategy, all right? We really want to try and help you build a really quality portfolio, all right? So Matt and Simon are about to talk about exit strategies, research-backed insights. I'm going to talk about the proven step-by-step portfolio strategy. That's the 7-step in a second, but the exit plan is the most important. That's what Matt and Simon are about to talk about. Okay. I think we're ready to go. The final bit I want to talk about before Matt and Simon come up is, guys, I want to make this super clear. It's about the process and not the person. All right. It's not about your age, your background, knowledge, anything. All right. It's really about the process. And the next 12 months, hopefully, is going to change everything in this live session. I had more slides than I thought, boys. I introduced you about 3 times there. So sorry about that. Matt and Simon, let's go. You boys want to come up? How are you?
Oh, you're all good. All good. Coming through there. Thanks, Ben. Got us all fired up.
Mate, 160 slide intro. Have you ever been welcomed like that? That was a lot.
I don't think I've been welcomed 5 times before. No, but we are here now. So we are here.
Like, we're ready now. I'm like, wait a minute. No, we're not. We're not ready to go. Let's rock and roll, boys. I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to jump out. Neville wants to retire tomorrow. So probably in the wrong place, Neville. But boys, I'm very excited about your content. We went through it today and you guys are going to absolutely crush it. So over to you. I went over, fellas, by about 10 minutes. So let's start your session from now, or yours.
Alrighty. Market outlook, altcoins, creating a crypto sales strategy. We're here to share all of that with you based on our years of experience, as Ben touched on several times. My name's Matt, and with me here is Simon. Let's waste no further time. Simon, we'll kick things off with a market outlook. I think it makes sense to kick things off with Bitcoin and how its price has been performing lately for those unaware. So yeah, let's get into it.
Absolutely, mate.
You get your screen up there, and certainly a few comments coming through as well, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end as well. So all right, Bitcoin chart, I see some green candles there, thankfully.
Yes, so
a bit of bleeding.
Absolutely, mate. So let's get into this, and just like, I think one of the things that most people get wrong when they're thinking about crypto is they are way too zoomed in, because most people get this constant ups and down emotions from the market. I mean, if you had your head under a rock, you probably noticed there was something big that happened across the weekend with some global wars going on, which is not great for the market. And everyone obviously gets massively fearful. Everyone thinks the market dumps. And it kind of really didn't, because this chart here is weekly chart. So every one of those red or green candles is 1 week's worth of price action. And so really the last 2 weeks where we've had these things going on in the Middle East has been this tiny little blip in the whole scheme of where Bitcoin has come. And so just a year ago, for example, we were back here. This is June back here. So we were around about the 65,000 mark. We've doubled that. So whenever you are worried about where the market is going and what's happening, you've got to really remember to zoom out, because it's a volatile market, sure, but over the long term, Bitcoin has constantly performed well. And we're also even forgetting even the short term. Like back in April here, this is the peak of the Trump government kind of tariffs. We've had a huge rally out of that. Bitcoin has gone from 70,000 back up to its 110,000 kind of all-time high mark. So when we look at the big scheme of things here, Bitcoin's doing really well. And so if you just focused on the last couple of days or the last week, then you can get really scared. But I think the main thing that I really want to emphasize to people here is that, Collective Shift, we definitely want you to zoom out constantly and look at the bigger picture, reflect on your actual longer term plan of what's going on here. And then you can kind of start tuning out a lot of this noise. If you are in the markets a lot, and you're exposed to a lot of altcoins, which we talk about a lot in Collective Shift. If you've got a large portfolio in Bitcoin, you definitely don't have to ride the emotions as much, because altcoins always do a lot worse. But it's not all altcoins do worse. I mean, some of our things that we will talk about today, what we're really excited about, is things like Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid has also barely moved from its all-time high in this last couple of weeks. So it's one of those coins that's doing really well. And we've got this real strong opinion and it's data backed that things that are overperforming now will continue to overperform in the future. And so that's really what we're looking for as far as portfolio management, is having a large percentage of Bitcoin, because we know it's going to do well in the long term, but also to look at coins that are performing strongly now, that are bouncing well now out of this recent news in the Middle East. Those are the things that we're looking for to see what's going to continue to do well. And so Hyperliquid is definitely one of them. Syrup is another one that Ben even touched on earlier. Again, it's really close to its all-time highs. These things are all showing real strength in the market right now, and I think these will continue to show real strength for the rest of this cycle. So those are the kind of things we're looking at. Those are the things we're interested in. And Matt, I might throw it back to you. Let's go back to the slides, and we'll talk a little bit more about why we think we're still bullish in this market.
Yeah, certainly. There's a number of reasons for that. But one thing is the concept of cycles in a space as new as crypto. As I get my screen up there, we've seen this sort of, I guess, sequence or this pattern, certainly at least 2 or 3 times now, Simon. What's up on our screen here, and where are we now?
So this is the Bitcoin price from previous cycles. So the first one on the left is the 2017 cycle. The middle one is the 2021, and the one on the right is where we are now. And so we still think that there is plenty more in this cycle to come, and we will touch into a lot of those catalysts and the reasons why we think that. But I guess this table also shows the diminishing returns. Bitcoin is far more mature of a market now. So I think the returns aren't going to be as high as they used to be, but it's still going to outperform any other asset class out there. And so I still think that where we are is basically those arrows are pointing to the same date in 2017, 2021, and 2025, respectively. In I think it's the end of May, actually, those arrows. So we are basically at similar points where I still think that there's plenty in this market to go up higher. And you're not too late, I guess, is the real thing I want to say here. You're not too late for this cycle, but it's getting later. And so I think that's one thing to emphasize, is that having some expectations about your gains from here is important, because we're not going to 5x your money in Bitcoin from here on out. Not at this point in the cycle.
Yeah, certainly in recent weeks, one of the more popular questions I've had is, had prices already peaked, or are we getting, right towards the end? Are there only 1 or 2 or 3 months left? And yeah, for several reasons, which I'll get into soon, I absolutely do not believe we've topped or are very close to topping. I very strongly believe we are likely to top towards the end of this year, if not even trickle into 2026. And I'll get into those reasons soon. One of those is more backed by on-chain data. So this chart here, there is a lot going on, but this is an example of the on-chain analytics where Collective Shift members do get these insights 2 times per week from Checkmate, who I regard as one of the leading on-chain analysts globally. And this is a recent chart from him last week that he shared with members, going through MVRV, which is one of his many sort of go-to metrics to sort of timing from an investment standpoint, timing the tops and bottoms of, well, Bitcoin's price action. And then in turn, you can carry that over to various altcoins. But something that really pleased me, and one of the reasons that I've been, myself from an investment standpoint, believing about why I'm so confident that prices aren't going to the top for still quite a while later this year or start of next year, is MVRV is still historically in this range where it's not really glaring and going off as like a sell signal or as a top signal. So MVRV is a sort of a way that you can use on-chain data to tell how many Bitcoin holders are sitting on some really, really big profits. And conversely, you can tell when they're sitting on like really, really heavy losses. Of course, implied there, when MVRV is really just going up really high, that means holders have just generated a lot of unrealized gains, and that typically gets you towards the end and the top of the cycle. So currently, we're seeing holders not really sitting on these like significant gains that they have been on in cycles past. And if that was a lot higher on that blue box there, if we did have that orange line going up quite a bit higher, that would be one reason for concern for me. But certainly Checkmate and myself, I do believe that this is one of various on-chain metrics that are telling us, hey, we really have a long way to go. Well, not a long way, but certainly not like a very short amount left in this cycle. So more importantly, again, as an investor, I tend to focus on more so the fundamentals. The on-chain metrics are great. The technical analysis is great that you just went into there, Simon, on the charts. But fundamentally, if we don't have anything to get excited about as a market, that doesn't leave me too hopeful that we're going to be in profitable areas in the future. But thankfully, here we are in June 2025 with several things to look forward to as a crypto market. So one of these, and arguably the most important factor of this bull market so far, has been strategy or micro strategy, just accumulating Bitcoin week after week. Many of you are likely familiar with Michael Saylor, and they just continue to accumulate Bitcoin. They are now, it's just like, you need to pinch yourself for a bit. They hold nearly 3% of the entire supply of Bitcoin. So we've got 21 million maximum supply. Strategy is now getting close to 600,000 Bitcoin, and they're nowhere near done accumulating. There's other names there on your screen. Even Trump Media is a notable one. There's many other companies that have said that they are going to continue accumulating. Some of them are just getting started. So all of that buy side pressure is, all else being equal, just leading to higher prices for Bitcoin. And yeah, it's hard to understate how important this factor is when you're talking about the outlook for Bitcoin and in turn, all of the alts. Demand from governments or even just independent nations and independent states. This is something that when I got started in crypto in 2017, I would never have believed we'd be here 8 years later, talking about on a sovereign level or even a state-based level, these like really like highly advanced economies really actually thinking about accumulating Bitcoin. It really is a pinch yourself moment. We actually saw in the past 24 hours, the state of Texas, so one of the biggest states in the US, they've actually approved and have actually started to allocate money towards accumulating Bitcoin. So yeah, that was another big milestone for Bitcoin just in the past 24 hours. So it's another reason why myself and the whole Collective Shift team are incredibly bullish on it still from here, the outlook for Bitcoin and all of the altcoins as well. So that's just a map of all of the states here in the US, and it's slowly taking over as they go through their consideration of whether to allocate towards Bitcoin, and keeping in mind there that the entire country itself has a separate discussion on whether they're going to allocate to Bitcoin. So a lot of headlines to get excited about in the back half of 2025. What are these names here, Simon? And what's this trend we're seeing?
Yeah, so Stripe, Mastercard, and Visa, who everybody knows Mastercard and Visa, but Stripe is also a big payment system. And so these guys are getting into crypto. And why are they getting into crypto? Because, well, so far the biggest use case for blockchain technology has been stable coins. And so that's pretty much predominantly US dollar stablecoins. And so right now in the US, they have a regulation going through called the Genius Act, which is about regulating what a stablecoin is, who can issue a stablecoin, what functions it needs to provide. And so this is really a nod to the crypto industry of the US government coming on board and wanting to be a part of it and wanting to make sure, I guess, that the US dollar remains dominant. So I think this is a huge thing for us in the fact that all these mainstream companies who are in payment systems are actually coming on board to be part of crypto. So I think this is huge, and it's extending, I guess, the best use case of blockchain so far.
Yeah, definitely. That whole idea of regulatory uncertainty too cannot be understated. Yes, it's quite a boring, slow-moving space, but from an investment side of things, personally, even if I'm not touching these companies or fintechs, like the fact that all of them are now have this red tape sort of now removed, the fact they're going to be building on all of these public blockchains that we as investors can get exposure to is a really exciting sort of concept. And I don't really think too many people in the mainstream are really talking about it just yet. So that's a big opportunity there. And finally, out of all of these factors, this is another incredibly important one that still in 2025, it still has a lot to play out. And that is, of course, the favorable macro backdrop. So the global economy, there's certain trends that are just very favorable historically for assets that are considered relatively risky. So not going to deny that crypto, of course, is a highly risky asset, but it's also therefore implies that it also has a high upside and high potential return. So stocks and crypto are historically viewed as risky assets. And over time, the data shows that they perform best when liquidity conditions are becoming more favorable and the overall supply of money is increasing. So that is a fantastic backdrop for something like crypto. And that is definitely projected to continue happen in 2025. It has already started to play out earlier this year. And that's also why I think it was part of the reason why Bitcoin and other altcoins started to rally. But certainly the trend is still very much getting started. And we're seeing certain things set up on your screen there that are reasons why global liquidity is expected to continue increasing over the coming months and even into 2026 for sure. So really, that's some really exciting reasons why. There are some others, but just due to time, those are our main ones why we're still very confident in the outlook for crypto as an overall market. Bitcoin, of course, needs to go higher in many respects for altcoins to start getting into those really, really meaningful returns. But certainly the outlook for them is starting to get quite favorable. So Simon, here, this is another chart that maybe just needs a bit of a walkthrough. The others, what is the others index and where are we today?
So this basically is kind of showing how all the cryptocurrency, all of the different tokens and coins out there, they don't go well compared to like basically things like Bitcoin. So all of them added up over the years have actually been trending down. So basically all your altcoins out there in simplest terms have actually been going down. And this is the real hard point in crypto now. There's so many coins out there. How are you going to know what's going up? It's really hard because the answer is most of them have been going down. And not even has these all, even though we have probably tens of thousands more coins, we still actually haven't gone higher in value than the November 2021 top. And so that just means we have a very convoluted market. We have a very confusing market, and we have basically a lot of coins that are worthless being created and made. So what we've really got to focus on is what coins can do really well. And obviously, focusing on Bitcoin, because we know Bitcoin is still the biggest driver behind it. And so what I would say is that, when you're looking at your altcoins and you're asking yourself, why are they not performing? Well, it's probably because most of the altcoins aren't performing. So it takes a little bit more finesse and understanding to really find the altcoins that are actually going to outperform Bitcoin. Because if you're really time poor, then just owning Bitcoin is probably a really good solution because it is outperforming pretty much all altcoins except for a very few selections really these days.
Yeah, certainly. Back in the day when I was getting started in crypto, the ICO era, people were throwing money at everything and you could be blindfolded really, just throw a dart and all the rising, the rising tide would lift all boats, as they say. You could get away with just getting lucky really and getting rich out of it. Certainly things have changed these days, which you would look at this chart, and if this chart was shown to me in 2017, I would think, okay, all altcoins have gone down more or less in proportion with each other. But certainly you look at like the situation today in the middle of 2025, and we see a completely different crypto market. So this is something that, yeah, I am very proud of, I suppose, as director of research here at Collective Shift, and the team's ability to find these altcoins that, in conditions like you're seeing on your screen here, it's been brutal for the altcoin market overall. But certainly we're in an environment now where we have various altcoins that are bucking the trend and leading to certain Collective Shift members using our research and going on to make, in some cases, really life-changing investment decisions based off of the information we're providing. So people like Simon and I just, wake up every day and like look for these sorts of altcoins at the right time. And we have a certain product on our website that we'll get to soon. But Syrup, of course, in the recent market correction where all of the altcoins rallied, it did over a 4x, so up 311%. We saw Hype up 3x. All the while, the others index, which, as Simon said earlier, you take the entire crypto market and you take away the top 10 cryptocurrencies, what do you get? And you get this others index that is only more or less been flat. So like this entire chart is something that, makes me quite proud to say we have been able to find these altcoins that have performed extremely well in conditions that have been difficult for a lot of altcoin investors out there. One of these on the chart here, Simon, is of course Sui. One of your first projects, I always remember when you joined the Collective Shift team, you're hot onto it from the get-go. Maybe just explain to everyone watching what made you so excited about Sui at the time, and why do you still like it today?
Yeah, so at the time last year, it was not the powerhouse that it is today. It was still one of the many versions of fast, cheap blockchains that existed, or that were trying to be, basically made, all kind of competing with Solana. And so what was it that made Sui stand out for me as being uniquely different? It was probably in crypto, definitely everyone talks about narrative, and, marketing does speak a lot towards getting the word out there. And so Sui just had that edge, I think, over many other blockchains out there, because we are in a world now where all these different layer ones, all these new blockchains, they're all super fast, they're all super cheap. And so how do you really differentiate in that point in time? Because we are at a point where the tech doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's really about adoption and people actually using the blockchain. So if no one's using the blockchain, it's actually got no value. And so Sui I liked because it had, I guess, the backing coming from Miston Labs, which used to be the Facebook team, because Facebook was originally trying to create its own blockchain as well. And so they had a lot of pedigree in there, and then they had some really good projects and really good announcements as they went through. So it clearly stood out for me as, one of our leading ones. And Matt, do you want to go to my screen share, and I can just give people a bit of an insight behind the veil of, I guess, what we do at Collective Shift here, because we are a research-backed organization here. And so this is actually our shift list that we have, which also gives us, coins that we're interested in, and we also have our ratings with our risks and rewards that go along with all the different assets we have there. So Sui is right up there as one of our very bullish ones, and this is like a dynamic calculation that goes on behind. So this risk rating will actually change. We've put a lot of effort and time into creating an algorithm behind it that makes us, give us our ratings. But we can click into Sui, the asset itself, and again, just to give you some insights. Again, this is the research back that we do here, and so it's given our takes, all our different research pieces we've done on Sui, and we update this regularly on where we think it's at, what's bullish about it, what's bearish about it. So we give you our takes on it. And to give you some further insight to what was like when I first reported on Sui, this was my report that I put into our members platform back in September 19. So back in September 19, Sui would have been under $1 basically. So it was a good time. So if you are time poor and you don't want to actually read all this, detailed research content, you can actually listen to an audio read through of it as well. So that's kind of helpful for people to know that you can just listen to our research. But we go into a lot of detail here, where I was doing a lot of comparisons of Solana and versus some of the other fast blockchains at the time, which was Say and Berachain that I was looking at in this kind of case. And, I give you a real detailed analysis of what we're doing in it, potential returns, investments, risks. We go into, it's not even go into the end of how I'm actually playing it. So I actually, at the end of this one, actually even said that I was buying SUI at this point in time. So it was a great time to buy if you're buying SUI at under $1. But again, this is the research-backed element that we do at Collective Shift here to really give you some insights. I'm still bullish on SUI. I think it's still definitely on narrative. It's definitely captured most of the attention as far as a next gen layer one. I don't think there's any other layer one outside possibly Hype. I guess it's actually really got a lot of attention, and it's getting mainstream adoption as well. We're starting to see a lot more people come on board and wanting to use the SUI blockchain. So that's why I'm interested in it. And I think it's still going to do well for this rest of this cycle. And yeah, that's just a bit of insight into, I guess, the research and the analysis that goes into what we do at Collective Shift, guys.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. And yeah, really share your sentiment there on the outlook for SUI. Another altcoin that we are, big fans of at Collective Shift, and one that, I personally am still looking to, add to throughout the rest of this bull market, because I still do think overall the Bitcoin and the entire market is destined for higher highs, is Hyperliquid, of course. So a lot of Collective Shift members would have seen us cover this on the shift list, as we'll get into soon. But yeah, many reasons why I do like it. One of them, of course, being that second dot point there. Very rare that you see in crypto an actual project that generates a substantial amount of revenue, but importantly, basically puts the entire revenue back into buying its own token back off the open market. So that's something that is extremely unique to Hyperliquid. And the fact that it doesn't really have much sell side pressure coming via token unlocks in 2025 is another big reason why I'm a fan of it, plus some other upcoming catalysts through the likes of Hyper EVM, which is continuing to gain functionality in the coming weeks and months. But Simon, just here, we'll get up the Hyperliquid page itself. This was another one that you did cover in recent times.
Yeah, again, just behind the veil of what we do here at Collective Shift. So this was April 1st when I did my deep dive report on Hype. Not as early as SUI, I can easily say that. But, even if we kind of read this then, in 1st of April, this is the Hyperliquid chart. 1st of April is right down the bottom there. So it was about $12.
Wow.
When I put this report out, it's now at $36. So it was a pretty good time to be reading this article and learning about Hype and potentially investing in it if that's what you want to do. So again, it's a breakdown of the research that we put into a lot of these coins, and then our backing of why we think it's actually worthwhile. So it's a bit of a story, a bit of information about what's going on, a lot of data-driven information that goes into it. And again, we give our insights. And even I got this one slightly wrong, because at that time I said I'm not buying Hype, which wasn't the best of decisions for me at the point in time. But hey, it was a time in the market when everyone was quite fearful. But we give our insights, we give our tips, we give our opinions on what we're doing. And I do own Hype, and I am quite bullish on it still from here on out. I think it can still do well. But again, the insights, the research that goes into what we do here at Collective Shift is what's going to give you that real backing and that advantage in going forward in your portfolio. And I know that Ben wanted me to throw this one in there, Matt. I don't think it's in our slides, so I'm going to just jump to this one now. As a bit of tease,
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we talk about having a large percentage portfolio in some of these big caps. So if you've got a large amount of your portfolio in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Hype and SUI, Solana, you're probably doing really well. But we're not oblivious to the fact that meme coins are a big part of crypto in general. And you can make a lot of money, but it's very much so a matter of not putting too much money in. So I recently did a report that came out only, a week ago, talking about 2 meme coins that I thought were going to do really well for the rest of the cycle. So again, I'm not going to give you too much information on this one, because we do need to hold some things back. We are aware and we are involved in that. We ourselves only put a very small percentage of our portfolio into these types of assets, but this is part of crypto. And so if you're interested in understanding that and getting, I guess, an edge on that part of the market as well, we do understand the meme coin market. We probably don't put that out there as much because it is super risky, but we can make really crazy money. You can lose a lot of money. And that's just something to be aware of, I guess, in crypto, is that these crazy narrative-driven, hype-driven meme coins are very volatile. You can make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money, but we do participate in that game with a very small amount of our portfolio as well.
Yeah, certainly picking the timing of when to get in and out of these sorts of higher risk assets is really important. So yeah, post did come at a good time. Simon, if you do just quickly go back onto the shift list as well, and Hype is another one there. If you click on the shift list, we have our hype asset page. So again, as Collective Shift members, you can see in a quick snapshot sort of what our assessment is at a high level. But then if you are interested in learning more about a given project, this is like the example of Hyperliquid, where you can see our sort of fundamental analysis and our reasons why we like it, and some of even the counterpoints for maybe why it might not go so well. But overall, we do share our opinion based on both the bullish and bearish points. And this was one that, again, has done very well, particularly off that April 1st sort of low there. So Hyperliquid is one, and we provide ongoing coverage of these important shift list assets on a monthly basis. And then we also do individual posts about them, outside of those monthly sort of reports as well. So that's all really important. And talking about some cryptocurrencies to accumulate and buy is all certainly a really interesting part for a lot of investors, of course. But one thing at Collective Shift that we really try to distinguish ourselves on is being diligent in actually exiting and selling our holdings. We are wanting to participate in the market. Yes, we have our long-term holdings like Bitcoin, but we're also wanting to ourselves individually try to maximize our own profits within this cycle. And we also want to bring you along for the journey about helping you all formulate your own like investment goals, really, and learning about yourself and understanding yourself as a crypto investor, and really laying out not only your buy strategy, but just as importantly, your sell strategy. As Ben's talked about many times, the sell strategy is, in my opinion as well, arguably the hardest part to do. And we'll get into that just next here, Simon, because based on all of your feedback, and we thank you all for putting in your survey results as you did register for this. It'd be nice for a lot of you to know that sell strategy was by far the number one requested topic that we do cover. So Simon, I'll hand this one over to you as I change my screen here.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Matt. So when it comes to sell strategy, I thought what we need to do is set expectations first, because I think a lot of people, think of looking at a graph and thinking, oh, I'll just sell up here and I'll make all my money, and it's just super easy like that. The answer is that it's actually not that easy. And Matt, I can't control this slide, so you're going to have to click through these for me, mate, as we go. So here is actually the Bitcoin graph of 2021, and that is there in the middle. That is the actual top of Bitcoin price in 2021. So your expectation is you're going to sell right there at the top, isn't it? That's what you want to do. That's everyone's game here, because that's how you maximize your returns, and that's how you realize all your financial dreams. Well, that's not going to happen. That's your expectation, but the reality is you are not going to do that. So here is the reality. So here is that chart again. This time I've got a few lines in there, and so the blue line there is 5% from the top of the Bitcoin top in 2021. You had 3 days to sell within 5% of the top. And so I don't care how good you are. I don't care how smart you are. I certainly am not. I'm not going to sell within 5% of the top, because I'm not going to nail 3 days of it. And that's just the reality of what's going on. So the yellow line is 10%, Matt. And click that for me. You have 16 days to sell within 10% of the top. And so that top back then was what, 69,000. So now you're talking about being back down at $60,000 mark to be able to sell within 10%. 16 days over a kind of a 4-year cycle. Again, really hard to do. And that purple line, that is 15%. Matt, click that for me. So 33 days. And so if you sell within 33 days of that top, you're 15%. And so that puts you down about $57,000, $58,000 from the top from the last cycle. So that's the reality of it. I reckon if you can sell within 15% of the top, of the true top of the market, you have done ridiculously well. And so that's the reality of Bitcoin. Now, the reality of altcoins is even worse. So let's get to that next one, Matt. This is Dogecoin from 2021. And he's just pushed it before I could do the big announcement of it. But to sell within 5% of the Dogecoin top, you had 0 days. It didn't even stay within 5% for more than a day. That's how crazy altcoins are. Next one, Matt, please.
We got here 10%. Give us a 10%.
10%. 10%. You had 1 day. So we had what? It was a couple of days on Bitcoin. You had 1 day to be within Dogecoin. Keep going, Matt. 15%. 4 days to be within 15% of the top of an altcoin. And so, because it's just so ridiculous, give me the next one, which is 25%. 5 days to within 25% of the
Wow.
top. So this is the reality of what's going to go on. You are not going to sell within 25% top of your altcoin. Simple as that, especially not something as risky as an altcoin. So you really need to keep that in mind. And now, if you're going to play in the meme coin space as well, if you sell within 50% of the top, you've done exceptionally well. So you really need to frame your mind of what your expectations are and what you can actually achieve. And so it's kind of a case of, if you think you're in profit and you should take profits. So if you are in profit and you think you should take profits, the answer is probably yes. You probably should take profits at any given stage, because it's just so hard to get those tops.
That still blows my mind going through that. If you think the bull market, and in many cases in the past, it's been, yes, multiple hundreds of days, 300 to 600 days of a bull market, depending on your definition. And in this case, for meme coins especially, you've got about 1% of that duration of time to nail it. Let alone even Bitcoin was very hard to get within 15% would be an overall a fantastic result. So in between those two is altcoins, of course, your typical sort of top 100, top 200 altcoins. So with that all said, this sort of really primes you to understand the importance of selling within crypto bull markets if your goal is to maximize profits for the sort of short to medium term. So within this cycle, I absolutely would highlight the importance of these sell strategies. So of course, there's various ways you could go about creating a sell strategy. Over the years, my opinion has more so gone towards just emphasizing the need to do anything. So put together a sell strategy that works for you. I'll go through some examples here, but I've talked to hundreds of people who do various of all of these upcoming types of strategies. So just doing target prices is by far the most common. So if I've got an investment like Bitcoin and I'm wanting to sell, then therefore I would be going and projecting into the future. When certain targets hit, I'm going to sell a certain percentage of my holdings. If I'm someone who is a bit more risk averse and really wanting to lock in profits because my investment goals like make it that I really need to secure profits, then I'm going to be selling a lot more of my holdings at a lower price. If I'm someone who's a bit more risk seeking and happy to sort of take a punt and sell a lot later on, then I'm going to weight it towards a more higher price. Pretty simple stuff, but getting this stuff down on paper and sort of in our 7-step strategy guide is extremely important because it'll increase the chance that you actually do sell. Time-based. So again, crypto is very cyclical historically. If you're someone who is very busy, got a lot of things on in your life, doing a time-based sell strategy can be beneficial. I know certain people who do this, and it really is something that is a lot more convenient and low stress. It doesn't take as much involvement and hands-on sort of following the crypto market. So yes, you can sort of forego some extra returns, but also it does importantly mean that you are locking in profits, which way too many people just end up round tripping and not selling at all. Dollar cost averaging out is really just doing the opposite of dollar cost averaging in. So just incrementally selling based on sort of amounts. You can also sort of accompany in like a time duration. So you could just say, October 15th, I'm going to sell 0.2 Bitcoin. And then November 15th, I'll sell another 0.2 Bitcoin. You could do it on a weekly rhythm, a monthly rhythm, quarterly rhythm, whatever works for you. And this is the one that we're probably, well, I'm certainly, and I know Simon is a big fan of this approach as well. It's a sell strategy that does touch on various elements of the ones I did just cover. However, it really does also take into consideration the sentiment of the market at a given point in time. So by that, we mean what are certain signals, what are they firing off at us as a research team that really indicate a market that's getting really ahead of itself. Similarly, like if prices are really soaring up higher, but certain sentiment metrics are still being rather quiet, that would again be a reason why we might keep holding through certain price rises. So overall, this is a lot more of a hands-on approach and requires being quite close to the pulse of the market and really keeping in check with it. So that's something why for myself and for Simon, it works really well as part of our jobs. We wouldn't really be doing it well if we didn't follow this sort of sell strategy. And that is, of course, one of the main benefits of being a Collective Shift member. You're able to then get insight into when Simon, myself, and even Ben are like really actively sort of selling because it will be a reflection of when we think sentiment and other fundamentals are getting, really up to their tops and up to their sort of cycle tops, where we think it's, getting to a really sensible time to take some profits. So sentiment is my favorite sell strategy, but there's a few there that I've highlighted. But all of this to say, the main point of this little presentation here is just please remember to write down a sell strategy and think about it and make sure it aligns with your own investment goals rather than some influencer, telling you which one's best. Because if you follow someone blindly in terms of what the best sell strategy is, I can tell you from conversations over the years that you're just going to be very unlikely to actually sell when the time comes. Why? Because you just haven't put much time into thinking about it. So that's just a lesson that I'd like to share there. But anything else to say there, Simon, before we hand things over back to Ben?
Absolutely, yeah. So the ones we talked about before, the price, the time, the DCAing out, these are all process-driven ones. So if you're very time poor, they are good to implement, and you can do automations to make that kind of happen. You can do it through your centralized exchanges or your decentralized exchanges. So you want to make it so that the process makes the decision for you and you don't let the emotions get on top of you. And I saw Darius put a comment in there saying, buying is easy. It's the selling I'm worried about. Absolutely. It really is so much harder to sell. And my advice would be is to write down your exit strategy and then do what I do as well. And I know probably Matt does as well, is that I have an accountability partner. I've got a friend who I've told this is what I'm doing. And so his job is to call me up and beat me over the head when some of these things trigger. And so having an accountability partner is a huge thing to, implement and add to your sales strategy. Making someone else, your accountability partner, it's going to make you actually pull the trigger, which is hugely important. It's super hard to do when everything's going up and you feel like a genius. You need to have that grounding and you need to actually execute on that strategy.
Yeah, it's something else I really love about the Collective Shift member community. It's that accountability factor as well. Like, you're able to see when other members are selling, why are they selling, and also why they're buying. People just sharing their own experience and perspective. You can sort of consider all these different opinions in addition to also, of course, getting our opinions who, people who are living and breathing the space. But yeah, getting that variety of opinions is something we really value working here at Collective Shift. But I might bring Ben over here if Josh behind the scenes is able to maybe bring him.
Oh, I'm just on my own. You boys out.
Yeah, you got some company. You got some company now.
Time to leave. Boys, that was awesome. I had a couple of questions for you. So, and thank you for everyone that's shooting in their questions. We're going to get to some Q&A at the end. Matt's going to come back out and we'll answer some of those. But how do you guys think about playing the cycles and with your own portfolios? And I know you've shared this with our members, but I think it'd be a good insight for those that are on the call. How do you think about rotating and taking profits and then deploying back in the bear? Because there's risks associated with how much you sell, when do you sell. Is your strategies to really try and take down and take profits on a lot of your assets and redeploy? How are you thinking about cycle to cycle strategy?
Yeah, I'm quite keen on and being sharing that I'm wanting to get out 100% of all of my altcoin positions, ideally as close to the cycle top as possible. But again, importantly, selling all of them. Keeping my Bitcoin, potentially selling some of that Bitcoin, but ideally I'll be holding all of it, given there's reasons why it can go higher, even potentially during a broader crypto bear market. But that's all extra detail. For me, 100% of my altcoins I'm wanting to be out of. Why? Because historically they will, in my opinion, really draw down sharply in price, and that will be a perfect time. I'm actually already starting to put together a list of sort of altcoin targets that I would really love to scoop up when the bear market hits, for various reasons why I don't really think they're great buys at the moment. But there are some assets like Hype and Sui, which we still think will do very well. But if I look back on my best investments over the years, they've always been during and initiated during the bear market. And the bull market is a great time to sort of play around with taking some profits. Sometimes you can flip them into other altcoins, but overall, the longer term, multiple year crypto investments are always my most profitable from an absolute dollar amount.
Yeah, I'd kind of just mimic the same sentiment there in that, altcoins have, and I still think pretty much all of them will go down 90% at some point at the end of the cycle. And, I think there was a question mark around, someone put a question in there, do we think there is going to be a cycle like there was previously? And I think the answer to that is yes. I think Bitcoin will probably have much less downside. And that's more because I think crypto is more in the whole global macro kind of cycle now. It's not really separate to anything else. So I think that when we see stock markets go down, that's when we see Bitcoin go down. That's when we see altcoins get crushed. So I'm of the same position that I want to get out 100% of my altcoin positions, really. They are just too super risky and too volatile to want to go through that. And, as I said in the graph earlier, if I sell my altcoins, even 50% from the top, I don't really care that much because I know it's probably likely to go down way past that. And that's a good thing to remember about altcoins. If you take 90% off the value of that token, it's pretty much guaranteed to go past whenever you sell it. So if you're in profits in the altcoins, taking profits is a great idea because at some point in time, the price is going to be below that. And I would also just echo the sentiments of Matt there saying that you make most of your money in the bear market. And so most of the great things we've done is been investing when everybody's really fearful. And so I definitely want to take profits to be able to be at that point in the cycle again in a couple of years' time, whenever that is, to start putting that money back in and start making some really big returns.
And I think another thing you guys touched on, but I think, I'll probably cover it a little bit more when I talk in a second, is around like portfolio allocation, and there's been as your data shows, like there's been so little altcoins that genuinely outperform Bitcoin. I speak to so many of our platinum clients when we do one-on-ones, and they're so over allocated when they come in with altcoins that even if they've had a syrup, or they probably wouldn't have a syrup, even a hype or a sui, they've only got 20% of their portfolio in a couple of coins or 3 coins that have done well. They're really under allocated on Bitcoin, and the remaining of the portfolios, underperform. So that entire portfolio is going to be down. So having the right allocation is really important. And so many people are under, especially time poor people, try and dial up the risk, add all these altcoins, and then end up actually going backwards in their results. Like allocation is super important. And Simon, I think you did this really well, is being hot on the trigger on moving when narratives changes. Like how quickly is like the ETH Solana sui, momentum changed so much and so quickly recently.
Yeah, everything changes very fast in this space, and I think probably a lot of the people listening, and I know a lot of our members were stuck in the same position, is that they've been holding these coins and they get this silly mentality of saying, well, I just needed to get back to a certain point to might break even and then I can sell. This is just hope, and hope is not a really good strategy. So probably a lot of you are sitting there with coins like going, will it do better? And I know there's been some comments coming through about what about this coin, what about this coin, and it's the same kind of thing. Is that like you are just hoping that something's going to go well, hoping it's going to go back up with not really backing it up with any strategy or any research into it. And so I would just, very much so warn people that everything is not going to go up the cycle. I really don't believe that at all. I think we've definitely seen the previous cycles, everything tended to get lifted. I don't think that's happening now. And it's clear in so much of the data and the charts that so many coins are just continuing to go down. Look at the big ones from last cycle, like Polygon. That's just been down only pretty much since its highs last cycle in 2021. So holding on to something like that, hoping it's going to go up when clearly, the momentum is not there, the users aren't there, the active addresses isn't there, all the metrics are just showing that it's just a dying chain or hasn't really hit use case. People need to reflect on that and make those decisions and pivot when you see it's the right time to pivot.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And Matt, I want your opinion on this too, because, there's a lot of people and a lot of commentary that you hear is just buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. It's going to come back. It'll just reach all-time high. Well, it's not the case, right? For a lot of coins, if you look at the tokenomics of a lot of these altcoins, they are diabolically bad. Like they have printed and generated so many more tokens in their circulating supply that the amount of demand and capital that asset needs, a project needs to grow just to get back to break even is so much higher than previous cycles. Like a lot of these tokens have huge unlock schedules that have happened or are happening that just like literally means that the capital required is multiples higher than what it had previously at an all-time high, right? So everything you love about Bitcoin being limited in supply, 21 million, pretty much every other asset in crypto is the opposite of that. All right, there's obviously a number that are limited, but yeah, Matt, like this space has changed so fast, so quickly, and I think that's even from full-time investing ourselves. Like it's been phenomenal to watch the pace
Yeah. I used to like take pride in knowing like so much about like so many different altcoins back in the day. Keeping on top of them was something like I took great pride in. It got to a point where it just saw the elastic band sort of snapped, and there's just now proliferation of altcoins plus meme coins plus NFTs, plus real world assets and all this different stuff, which is fantastic. But it just means the dilution of attention and capital like has just really changed since the likes of 2017, and even 2020. So that means if there isn't really that much new money entering the space, which has been the case, like certainly around the FTX days in 2023, 2024, as cryptos sort of continued to build in the background, I still think, we're really gearing up for another big boom in the asset class. Well, we have been and will continue in the coming months. But really, I think the reason for that dilution is really just incentives from different builders around the world, sort of saying, oh, look at this project, look at the valuation it got. Let's just spin up our own sort of project that's similar, but basically the same as this other project, and we'll get a great valuation. That's been going on and on and on. And the market is slowly but surely, and it's finally sort of started to, I guess, call bullshit on like a lot of these promises that these crypto projects have delivered and shared over the years. And now we're seeing like a re-rating to the downside of a lot of those altcoins. But you're totally right, Ben. I think the most important thing about what you said was for an altcoin to get back to all-time highs, in many cases in crypto, it just takes a lot more money and dollars to actually move the price back to its previous all-time high. And the reason for that is just there's a lot more of that project's tokens in circulation. So therefore, it just takes a lot more dollars to actually move the price of everything back up. So that's something that is hard to understand for people who are just dabbling in crypto, but it certainly had this really dilutive effect on a lot of altcoins that these days are still down like 80, 70%, in some cases even worse than that from their previous all-time highs. So the last thing from me is like, if you're waiting for something to get back to all-time highs just in order to sell it, and if those all-time highs were reached in 2018 or 2019, it very likely means that it's not going to get anywhere near back to all-time highs, in my opinion. So just understanding that difference between circulating supply, price, and then market cap, and then also like the total supply is like extremely important.
Yeah. And we're in venture capital space, people. So you got to remember that like most of these coins are new businesses, new ideas, no idea where they're going to succeed. And so if you're holding a coin that's been around for a couple of years and it's not doing well, it's probably going down the path of what most venture capital businesses go and it's failing. So it's something to be aware of. And then there's the whole concept that we have this, top-down effect of crypto where people make money in Bitcoin and then they'd sell it and they'd buying ETH and then they'd be selling it with the altcoins. That was probably, previous cycles. Now we have governments and we have corporations buying Bitcoin. They're not selling it to go down that risk curve. They're staying up there. So that's something to remember as well. This is why we're not going to get everything lifting up, because the big boys at the top are not selling their Bitcoin to go and take on all this risk.
Yeah, you boys absolutely nailed it. And I think just to touch on your point, Matt, hope is not a strategy anymore. If you are holding coins that are down and you're just waiting for them to come back to all-time highs and waiting for this moment because you've invested a lot and you don't want to get out of it, that has proven for the last 18 months that is the wrong strategy. The other one is around, Bitcoin versus altcoins. Yeah, two completely different asset classes. And those that weren't at the start, we showed a chart of like the altcoins we've been following and investing in are outperforming Bitcoin. The only reason you would invest in altcoins is you think you can get outperformance on Bitcoin to one day probably buy and accumulate more Bitcoin. If your altcoins are underperforming Bitcoin, there's a big question to be asked around why on earth you're holding it. All right. And there's a fine line between, remaining patient and being wrong. So the game's changing is kind of, my point there. And I'm going to talk about Syrup that just did a 10x, my first 10x of the cycle, and what we looked at and why we invested in that and where I'm looking next. Because I think it's so much harder this cycle to find those outperformers, so much harder. I'm not sure about your portfolio, boys, but like for mine, I'm down to 6-7 coins.
Oh yeah. That whole like spray and pray approach sort of mentality of like acknowledging that, several of your investments will likely fall dramatically, but your ideal goal is, yes, all of them you would want to go up, but if you can get like one of those going amazingly, will often still take you above break even. If you can hit 2, even 3 in the best case that can do multiples, that can still more than offset like the 6 or 7 or 8 sort of like coins or tokens that end up going down. So that mentality has always been true in crypto, and it's just as true today with altcoins being, I guess, so different and the variance of their returns being very different.
Yeah, spot on. Fellas, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in and talk about some portfolio structuring, altcoins, and the 10x we just hit. Matt, you're going to come back for some Q&A. There's been some awesome questions rolling in. So
yeah, I'm seeing these come in. So yeah.
When you come back. But thank you so much, guys. I know there's a lot we weren't able to cover, but you powered through. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Simon, you got to jump off, but yeah, Matt will be back very soon. So thanks, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Lovely.
Rightio. So I'm going to finish today's session with how to grow your portfolio without being glued to the charts. So again, today's session is not for traders. We're not here to help short-term investors. We do very, very well for people that are time poor, trying to build a portfolio with a structure and strategy without needing to spend all the time doing it on your own. And what we're going to cover is how to structure your portfolio, right? So the long-term growth, looking at things like stable coins. I think there's been a lot of questions in the chat around exit strategy. Do you put the money into stable coins? Where does it go back? I'm going to share that with you, how I structure my portfolio. I'm going to look at some case studies. Why most portfolios fail. We speak to so many of our clients, and even on our social media. I've got nearly 100,000 followers. I get to see what my social media fans are saying, but then also, more importantly, what our clients are saying. And when I sit down with them and I do sessions with them, I get to really see the differences between the winners and the losers. I'm going to share and help you guys, learn some of those lessons to expedite that. And I'm going to share the strategy behind the 10x we just hit on Maple, all right, in the middle of everything going down outside of Bitcoin. Right, so I want to share a little bit about that. So first of all, Maple, what even is it? Syrup, it's a DeFi project. I've been invested in this for about 2 or 3 years now. And it's been probably one of the best. It has been the best performer for me this cycle. And I recently took profits on it at about 560%. And I made a little update here just for our members around this is an update on the right-hand side here, the Platinum members, just around why it's gone so well, right? And as a DeFi project, DeFi has been completely under the radar for so long, and it did not get the limelight at all post FTX and Luna and Celsius and everything. It was one of the very few projects that actually survived and expanded after the Celsius and BlockFi disaster. It had some narrative behind it, but honestly, the narrative was dead. But what it did have was fundamentals. And the areas that I made most money in crypto is backing quality fundamental projects that have actually driven value to the world. If you can actually think about how many coins you're invested in right now that are genuinely providing value to the world, the answer most likely is very, very few. All right. Crypto has not actually created anything really outside of Bitcoin that's reached the mainstream media. Polymarket, I would say, has been the only thing that has genuinely reached mainstream media. All right. And that was built on Polygon, and Polygon's down 90%. So you've got to find, in my opinion, projects that have genuine fundamental value, because that'll find value over a long period of time. Now, obviously, there's speculative value, all right, meme coins and whatever else. Crypto is driven off speculation. There's a lot of money to be made there. But when it's all said and done, what's going to build a moat around quality projects, for me, it's fundamentals. And it generated a lot of revenue. Its TVL surged 4x. Its TVL, as of recently, was up to 1.7 billion in TVL, and the market cap was far lower than that. The revenue is up to 12 million. It's actually generating revenue. Oh my goodness. Can you believe a crypto project is actually generating revenue? It's an actual business. My goodness me. Again, how many businesses could you count that's actually generating revenue? All right. And then also high conviction positioning. Syrup actually retraced close to 70% back in April, right, of this year. Okay. And I doubled down. And since then, it's done about a 5x. And that was 2 or 3 months ago. So high conviction, finding tailwinds of projects that you think are going to have value into the future, finding real world fundamental, economies that within crypto that generate actual value to the world, and the timing is super important. All right. And then having the conviction to back down when the market retraces is 5 of the reasons why Syrup has done so well for me. Now, there's a fine line between doubling down and keep buying the dip into a project that is just an utter, piece of shit as well. All right. So understand too that it's a fine line between having conviction and having, I guess, confidence that this project's going to come back and the project not performing well at all. Okay. So my overall strategy in crypto is using altcoins, as I just mentioned, as leverage positions, essentially, to build and stack Bitcoin. All right. The only reason I would hold altcoins in my portfolio is to outperform Bitcoin, sell them down, and then over the long term, stack more Bitcoin. All right. Now, I also have some other goals around property. I believe property is one of the best ways to preserve wealth and also generate cash flow over a long period of time. All right. Now, I posted here in our Platinum chat recently. I'm not sure if you can see that, but basically, this was an update. I do updates for our Platinum clients in the WhatsApp talking about the fact that the altcoin dominance, a reality check, altcoin dominance are at 4-year lows. And Matt and Simon spoke about this. It means that 99% of altcoins continue to underperform Bitcoin. All right. There's very few altcoins that are actually outperforming Bitcoin. So if you have 50, 60 coins, most likely a lot of them are underperforming Bitcoin, and you would have been far better off just holding Bitcoin. All right. Now, if you hold the right altcoins, then you need to even get the right allocation, because you might have one coin that does well, but you've got 1% in it and you've got shit for the rest. Guess what? It doesn't matter. There's so many variances and nuances to actually having a portfolio that is actually succeeding and growing. All right. And most people that I speak to have this backwards because they still have 2017 and 2021 in the back of their mind. All right. So the short-term strategies have select altcoins that I believe will perform well, that will outperform Bitcoin, stack my Bitcoin. All right. And those sectors for me are layer ones and DeFi primarily. All right. That's where I have the majority of my altcoin exposure. Meme coins and AI, I do believe will have their run at some point in time. Simon said this before, but a very, very, very small allocation. And they are retail sectors that I think will do well. But for now, I'm not actively allocating into those two sectors. Layer ones and DeFi is where I think will perform well. And that hidden sector for me is DeFi. All right. No one's talking about it. We saw back in 2021, some of the best fundamental projects started to outperform. And I'm just reading the post here. With the likes of Uniswap, Aave, Synthetics, Maker have all been forgotten about over the last 2 years, right? Ethereum has really underperformed over the last 4 years. I'm a big believer in Ethereum. Once Ethereum starts to move, and we saw that even from the run from 1,700 to 2,500, we had huge, huge gains on DeFi. Hype is a DeFi project as well as an exchange. Syrup was pumping. Hype is pumping. Uniswap, Maker. There's a clear trend that DeFi is on the way, but no one is talking about it. And I think that's a sector that will continue to perform well at the back end of the cycle. Okay. And that's some of the things that we're looking at down the line. The strategy updates though. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people don't realize. They watch a live stream like this. They watch a video of their favorite influencer. They get a tip from a mate. They buy it and forget about it. I posted this morning. I posted this in the Platinum chat this morning because I just bought a number of coins in my portfolio based on literally what happened overnight. I made an update yesterday because we had the bombing overseas in Iran. The markets retraced. I gave an update as to what I thought was going to play out. It played out, and I bought. And I shared exactly what I bought, what percentages, and my portfolio allocation. All right, because we have a team of analysts that are monitoring this pretty much 24/7. And overnight, the market bounced. Syrup up 13%, Sui up 12%, ETH up. All right, all outperform Bitcoin in the short term. Now, I have a lot of Bitcoin in my portfolio as well. I actually bought a lot of Bitcoin this morning. But there's multiple strategies at play here. And this is where the updated information is so important, because I also made some losses this year. There was 2 coins that I was into the gaming sector that didn't play out. All right. And I cut my losses, shared that, why I sold them at a loss, took a 30% haircut, didn't wait and hoped that it was going to come back, cut my losses, rotated into Hype. Hype did 280% in the following 4 weeks. That was about a month or 2 ago. Okay. The strategies change. If you buy something and it doesn't play out, you've got to move on. And you need to understand the difference between moving on and also, having confidence and conviction. And those gaming projects that I sold at a 30% loss are down nearly 70% now. Okay. You don't get them 100% right. No one does. Anyone telling you they get 100% right is absolutely full of it. So my strategy long-term is to build as much Bitcoin as I can for long-term wealth creation. Build my Bitcoin stack. I believe Bitcoin's going to be the hundreds of thousands of dollars into the future. All right. And then I'm going to build my Bitcoin stack, sell down my altcoins, and buy property. All right. I'm very close. My first goal of this cycle was to buy my parents a property in that process now, which is super exciting. And then I'm going to continue to build my property stack to generate cash flow over time. That's going to be my passive income. That's the retirement play. And stable coins I'll have to basically redeploy back into the market. So I'll sell my altcoins down into stable coins and redeploy. When that will be, exactly what Matt and Simon just said. I've got my sell strategy. We have a lot of indicators internally, but sentiment is the most valuable one. That is the hardest to track. And after doing it for 8 years now, we've got some really amazing data and insights internally that we use for ourselves, and then we share back for our clients to follow, which is awesome. All right. From that income from property, that allows me to generate the income and stacking stables as well. I'll never stop working because I love what I do, but essentially I'll be able to retire at that point. So how do you grow your crypto? Well, the 3 ways to really grow your crypto. One is to buy more crypto, obviously, automated buying, finding capital, finding salary, dividends, bonuses, and automate, accumulate. But the timing is really important. You know, for a lot of those of you that bought back in November, you know, and you bought a huge chunk of Solana at $220, and then it's $93 2 months later, that's probably going to hurt a little bit. Okay. So buying at the right time is really important, and buying the assets and the selection is super important. Playing the cycles. You can multiply your growth by getting out as much as you can during the peaks and redeploying in the bear. Far easier said than done. I've seen a lot of people that have tried to do it, sell all their portfolio at 70,000, let's say last, a couple of years ago in 2021. They got it right, was waiting for 50,000, didn't get there. It hit 60,000, and then we jumped back up, and now they've been sidelined, as an example. Okay, so getting in and out, it can also go the other way if you don't time it correctly. So having that timing is really important. Bitcoin, compounding, major altcoins, I think you're going to do really well. Minor altcoins, far riskier, and 99% of them are not going to perform. And that is so important, because if you're holding a bunch of altcoins that are underperforming, they're going to continue to underperform, in my opinion. Timing, buys and sells, really, really risky, as I said. However, if you can do it right and be strategic about it, where you've got a good risk and reward strategy, that's where you can really accumulate, right? And I always talk about this because all of our clients are time poor. No one has a time to stay in front of the charts. We build and create a really great sell strategy and optimizing their portfolio to not have to sit in front of the charts all day. So let's go through your 7-step crypto strategy. So hopefully you can download that PDF or you have. This is the process I spoke about at the start. This is what we take all of our clients through, okay? And this is what I use personally, is what all of our team use, and it's been the difference of winning and losing is having a strategy. All right, Kieran is one of our clients, use the 7-step strategy doc, invested at the worst time, and he's up 2.5x after working with me. Chris paid off his mortgage, as I spoke about, after I helped him sell Bitcoin at the top. That was from having a strategy, okay? The first step is understanding where your portfolio is. Where are your assets? Do you have shit everywhere, multiple exchanges, different wallets, all over the shop? Every degree of complexity that you have is making it harder for you to actually get out at the right time. Simple wins. The more complex you have it, the harder it will be for you to actually sell. Simple, simple, simple. Time horizon, okay? Knowing how quickly you intend to achieve your goals is really important. Are you investing in your SMSF? Are you a young person looking for higher risk? Are you understanding the risks you're willing to take when you're investing in crypto? All right. You can underexpose yourself and also overexpose yourself. Both are bad because you get yourself into a pickle. Okay. And risk to reward is the most important thing. And Matt and Simon were sharing this. The shift list, everything we do is rated internally with our internal algorithms that allow us to look at risk and reward and give us a rating. Okay. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They have no point barreling all this risk on a project that if it doesn't have the reward profile to match, right? You're basically, betting on something that, is not going to win. And even if it does win, you're going to get far lower the odds than what you deserve. You may as well go to the casino and bet your money, all right? Or go to the pokies. They're literally, guaranteed to win and you to lose. Same in crypto. Tax and structuring. This is a really big one that a lot of people with, a decent chunk of money don't think about in crypto. Tax structuring, looking at tax efficient structures, and also thinking about just generally when you're taking profits, how you're managing those profits, when to take profits, offsetting losses. There's so much stuff you need to think about when you look at tax and structuring. Okay, this is another part of the strategy. And we have our tax partners that we introduce you to. You sit down with them and you map out an actual proper strategy to save you a bunch of money. All right, risk tolerance, really important. Understanding risk and reward, not over allocating. All right. And some of you think, oh, I want to add more risk, and then you buy a bunch of altcoins and then you're down. Like, adding more risk doesn't necessarily equal just buy altcoins. All right. Most of the results we get from our clients is coming in, restructuring, having the right portfolio, better understanding their risk tolerance, and getting good returns. What is your buy strategy? This was an update I made about a month or two ago. All right. In the Platinum chat. This is the assets we bought. This is what we're doubling down on. And the returns were really, really positive. Like Syrup, like we spoke about Sui, like Solana. Timing is so critical. Bill is one of our Platinum clients. He's a dad and a property investor. We've got a DGen and high risk channel in our Platinum chat. He is pretty wealthy, right? He's got a lot of money from property, brought some in crypto, has a super high risk strategy, had a short-term portfolio of looking at some high risk stuff. He bought Trump at $9 when he saw it mentioned in the chat group and rode to Melbourne and sold at 63. All right. The profit alone on that one trade when he was driving to Melbourne to see us was $120,000. Paid for his collective shift fee for nearly 10 years. Right. But that's because he had a strategy and he got out at the right time. All right. Most people would have just round tripped this or not even got it in at all. All right. What is your sell strategy? We cover this with Matt and Simon. But again, mine is to take down my profits on my altcoins, buy property for cash flow, and stack my Bitcoin. All right. And then get ready for the next cycle and go again. Make as much money as we can this bull market and get ready for the next, because that's how you're going to compound your returns. So what do you do when you're time poor? Because I know so many of you are time poor. All right. And no one talks about this stuff. Everyone's selling you the dream of quitting your job and becoming a trader. Well, the reality is 99% of that is absolute BS. Okay. When you're time poor, you can make a lot of money if you have a proper strategy and good assets and you just let it play out. Don't chase narratives. Narratives come and go. Don't chase the latest AI coins, the latest meme coins. It's going to make you stress. You're going to be sitting at home. Your missus is going to be asking you to go to bed and you're staring at the screen looking at your shitty altcoin that you bought the night before. All right. Absolute waste of time. Stake assets where possible to offset the inflowing circulating supply that a lot of these tokens have. Okay. That allows you to earn and offset those, in inflation rates that a lot of those altcoins have. Move to cold storage. You don't have to have everything on cold storage, but if I spoke to someone recently that had, an absolute bucket load of cash, crypto on a hot wallet. Super, super risky. If you've got any money on an exchange, you need to be aware of the risks. Okay. And we helped people be notified before FTX blew up, which I'll show with you in a second, 3 or 4 years ago. These exchanges aren't bulletproof. So you need to be aware of that. Think long term. Stop thinking a day, a week, right? Stop thinking that the market's down yesterday, now throwing the towel, we're out. No, guess what? Yesterday was a great buying opportunity. April was a great buying opportunity. That's where we got into Sui. We got into hype. When these assets retrace 60, 70%, that's an amazing opportunity to buy. All right. But what most people think is like, oh, they're going to wait for lower prices because they miss that price. It goes to that lower price. They go, oh, it might go lower. Oh, it might go lower. They miss it. Same on the way up. I bet all of you have thought about this in a bull market. Oh, I might sell at this point. It gets to that point. Oh, I might wait for a bit. Oh, it could go higher. Oh, but what if? Imagine if it did this. Doesn't get there, your round trip. Every single time. And we track this on chain. We can see who's doing what. And every single cycle, the retail get absolutely poleaxed, doing the wrong thing at the exact wrong time, while the 5% make all the money. All right. And that's fortunately where we sit personally and where our clients now sit, which is absolutely awesome. Add to your positions when cash becomes available is a big one as well. Kent joined us. He's been a member for 2 years. He's a busy guy, and being able to sit down and actually build a strategy allowed him to increase his investments for 50K in the first week just by getting out of those shitty coins. All right. And he can keep up to date with the market developments and the projects for the shift list and everything here. All right. The first year he was self-taught, doing it all himself, lacked the knowledge. He needed to feel confident with the money he was investing. Since joining, he developed a clear path, maximizing profits, and felt confident that the choices backed by a team of people who genuinely want to see him succeed. Just so obvious in my opinion. Now, if you're high net wealth, so if you have more than $250,000, this is really important. Okay. These are big things that, again, a lot of people don't think about. OTC is going to save you a lot of money on spreads and fees. So when you're getting in and out of the market, if you're buying on the spot exchange, you're probably losing thousands of dollars, all right, from spreads and fees. We have personal introductions that we make to help you get with the right people. You can find this on your own, all right? OTC over the counter is going to give you some really good rates if you're investing more than $25,000 at a time, all right? Accountability. This is a really big one. How many of you have friends in crypto that know what the hell they're talking about? Very few, all right? It is a unbelievably lonely place, crypto, and everyone that you're friends with probably thinks you're weird and crazy. Having a group of people that are actually switched on by your side to give you the accountability to get out at the right time is massively important. It helped me back in 2021, right, when I was really getting some really good returns. Having that accountability group of smart people around me, Matt and the other analysts, is a game changer. Rather than you sitting at home, sweating at night, making all this money, screenshotting it, going and showing your wife and your girlfriend how much money you're making, and then a month later you didn't take profits or you didn't take enough, and you're on the way down again. It's gut-wrenching. I've been there. You know, we've all been there. Accountability is super important. Strategy, short and long term, right? Really important. You're mapping that out. Lending, how the rich get richer, they lend against their assets, all right? Tax efficiency, looking at that. On-chain and off-chain goal, trying to get to those goals. For me, goal setting, and we didn't touch on it too much today, but goal setting is really important. What are those goals? Where do you want to get to? What are the numbers? Right? That's in your 7-step strategy document. Post-tax, before tax. How much do you want next cycle? How much do you want this cycle? How much do you want in stables? How much do you need in property? How much do you want in Bitcoin? How much profits are you going to take? Have you thought about tax? Have you thought about stable coins? All right. If you're not thinking about any of this, you are already behind the 8 ball. That's why so many people fail in a bull market is go, oh, no, I'll wait later. I'll sort it out later. Now, I'm not ready for that right now. All right. Well, by the time you're ready, the markets hit you. We're climbing to the top. As Matt and Simon just said, the top is there for a few days, and now you're trying to think about what your sell strategy is. Well, by the time you even get your ledger out, the market's topped and it's on the way down. How do I know that? Because I did it when I first started, and I see every single person go through it as well. You got to get your strategy sorted. Tax and structuring, risk and reward, sell strategies, automation, Bitcoin and property is the game, in my opinion. Okay. Just checking out the chat. Perfect. Nearly 1,300 people tuning in, folks. That's absolutely awesome. Hopefully enjoying the content. So before we get to Q&A, I want to recap what we've spoken about. Okay. So how to build your portfolio strategy, the 4 proven exit strategies that most serious investors use, and using a mix of those is really important as well. How to avoid round tripping, all right, and life-changing gains by having that strategy and that exit strategy. How serious investors actually think differently from the retail. Remember, 95% of people lose money in crypto, okay, because they round trip. Kenneth, round tripping, rite of passage, exactly. D, super helpful, Ben, thank you. Awesome. Peter, it's awesome. And how to deploy capital larger than small amounts through OTC lending, tax structures, etc. A big area you need to be aware of. Okay, so a few questions. Okay, so with everything we've said, hopefully you now feel a bit more confident with your strategy and portfolio. And again, hopefully you've downloaded that 7-step strategy doc. You've taken some notes. And I want to remind you that we've had essentially 2 hours, not even that at the moment, right, to share as much as we could today. We're going through the over 500 survey results, right? We went through it all. There's so many things that we know you guys need help with. It is absolutely impossible to cover, okay? But we try to give you the most important stuff that I mentioned to actually go and have a crack and get some results. All right, I'm actually genuinely excited for you to go and have a crack at this because I know a lot of you, it's going to make a big difference. But I want to make it clear that these sessions, they come and go, and the information is static. All right. Tomorrow, the market will change and things will change. All right. And trying to bridge the gap between all the information and how it's relative to you is a huge gap. And Josh, I mind if you're in the background there, just if you can make me on the side so people can see the slides, that'd be awesome, man. what psychologists say, and we've got my performance coach, Travis, who's also works with the Platinums. He's a psychologist. All right. And he works with our clients, talks about how within 48 hours, you'll forget pretty much everything of what we spoke about today. Right? You're probably busy at work right now, or maybe sitting at home taking notes. In a couple of weeks, the reality is all the ideas we covered today, probably going to forget, right? And you'll be back doing the normal stuff. And I'm really hopeful you took notes, because I like to take notes. But like all note takers, we're busy. I'm busy. Let's be honest. You're not going to pull up those notes again. All right. They'll be lost. They'll be forgotten. I've got a billion notes from all sorts of sessions from the past that, I've kept and not looked back on. All right. And you'll go back to the day-to-day. Momentum will be lost. Not the right time. Might do it later. All right. And not worry about it. Aiden, great presentation. Been really validating for the things I already thought but hadn't tested. Awesome. That's great. Fantastic. And I think I really want to leave you with something that big thing is crypto is moving faster than ever, right? This space doesn't wait. And between now and previous cycles, absolutely rapid pace, right? Coins are moving, sentiment is moving, new narratives are moving, and we cannot cover everything in one session, obviously. All right. And I know you're busy. I know you got a career, your family, your life. There's a lot of shit going on. Okay. And we really understand that. So 2 options. 1, take this information, try and implement it, and you will make a big improvement by taking the things away today. All right. And keep following me on social media. I'm going to keep giving you some awesome stuff. But within days and weeks, the market will shift. The content will be redundant, and you're going to be left with notes that you can't even remember what we spoke about. All right. And when bad stuff happens and when the market retraces, this is how people round trip. The other option is where you can continue to get updated information, know where your investment strategy is, and actually get access to myself, the team, guidance, support, and implementation. Actually do it yourself. And what if we actually did it together? And I think that's the big thing here, right? And this is where the unlock really has hit home for me over the last few years working with our clients, is what if I actually played an active role in your results, and actually took responsibility for your success and was aligned to actually try and help you win, and actually had an obligation to you winning. All right. Really stacking the deck in your favor, taking everything that we presented here today, the 3% of everything we know, and gave that all to you with all the shortcuts, the support systems, insights to go way deeper and save you far more time than you doing it alone. All right. And what if we try to really make your success inevitable? And that's the Platinum membership. And it's what I spoke about at the start about how we work with clients. Okay. I'm going to share with you what we do with the Platinum membership, and then we'll get into some Q&A. All right. Because the Platinum membership has been a huge game changer. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of, think of it like a mix of your crypto coach, a crypto research desk, a mastermind community, an outsourced done for you investment insights, and also personal brokerage style alerts. All right. Real elite level personalized strategy to fast track you with high touch investor support all year round. All right. And I started in Tassie. That's me on the right hand side here. If you can see my face there, I look, I think I'm about 12 years old there. Small kid from Tassie, figured it out on my own, turned that into 7 figures, lost it all, built it back up through the processes and systems that we now teach. And the difference that was I implemented from losing at the start 8 years ago to now is when I actually started to make my big investment into build the research team. Matt and Simon evidently are full-time investors as well. And we're all here, we're 100% allocated and all in on crypto ourselves. I did this for myself. I spent $100K a month on my team to give me the best possible insights to invest with confidence. All right. You can see that there. Spent $110,000 in April. Right. And that fast tracked my way to success, and having the right team, the right analysts, the right edge made the biggest impact on my portfolio. And that's what exploded. Became a multi-millionaire by 24. And that's where I thought, well, what if I could bring other people on the journey too? While everyone's out there, all the influencers, all your other groups, your Discords, all this crap is selling you the dream. You go in there, it's a bunch of noise and a bunch of affiliate links with people trying to day trade. It's nonsense. What if I could extend the thing that I've learned over the last 8 years using the same research tools and strategies that I use myself, and only get paid if we succeed? I was like, wow, look at that. Can you see how that's a win-win? When I thought about it, I'm like, well, I'm a genius. If you win, we win. And if you don't win, well, neither of us win. And, you can leave and get your money back. Can you see how it's a win-win? No one else does this, because we put our kahunas on the line with the results that we have. It's no bullshit. It's no shills. It's completely transparent with a shared goal to help you grow your wealth. And if I can do a good job and we can do a good job with the insights that we use ourselves and you make money, then we make money, we can buy more crypto. That's the only way it works. All right. And no one's ever done that in crypto before. Okay. So why is this more important than ever? So you're managing a big crypto portfolio alone. You've got a financial advisor for your stocks, accountant, doctor, maybe a personal trainer. All right. I've got all of those for all of my stuff. I'm running for a marathon in 4 weeks' time. Severely underdone. Right? Put it to the side, put it to the side, put it to the side. I'm like, shit, I've got 4 weeks to actually do this. I hired a coach, saw him this morning for the first time, fast-tracked everything. I looked like an absolute idiot running, right? Hired this guy, fixed my running style, and now I'm going to be dialed in, ready to actually run this and actually achieve what I wanted to do by hiring a guy to just tell me what I need to be doing. Just fast-tracked all of it. I wouldn't have even learned what I didn't know, what I didn't know, right? And that's what Platinum solves for crypto. So who is this for? It's perfect for you if you're managing more than $250,000 in crypto, all right? Or if you have a large amount of money from property or whatever trying to invest. We do not work with anyone less than $250,000, okay? If you've round-trip life-changing gains before or don't want to again, you're time poor, juggling a career, business, whatever, and you're wanting to be surrounded by a high-caliber, serious investor community that isn't traders, that aren't degens, that are genuine, like people doing amazing things in business and life, that have a lot of money in crypto, then this is for you. Okay? It's not for you if you're not serious about making money long-term with wealth, if you're not looking for trading or gambling. Sorry, if you're looking for trading or gambling or 10x overnight, not ready to take the next step, and ultimately looking for just quick overnight wins. It's not as easy as that. And people selling you the dream. I'm not here to sell you the dream. The reality is it's not reality. Everyone we bring into the group is curated. We currently have 150 clients we work with, and everyone goes through an application process, and we instantly kick anyone out, give the money back if it's not a good fit. All right. And that's why we created the Platinum group. I'll go through what it includes, and then we'll get to some Q&A. All right. Because we have very limited spots, and we've also got a bit of an end of financial year offer for all of you that are on the call today. So to keep the quality of the group high, as I said, we've got 150 clients. You're welcome to apply, but there's absolutely zero guarantee you'll be invited to join. We turn most people down. We only really want to work with those that can truly fit the group. Okay. And the reason being is that for me, it's not about the money. All right. The money is great if we do a good job, but I don't want to work with people I don't want to work with. I've been doing this long enough. I don't have the time to deal with people's shit that I really can't be bothered with. I know we do a good job, and I want to help other people that see that value. All right. And that's why the group's been so successful. So what do you get? What even is this thing? We get a personalized strategy session, right, with our head coach, designed to craft your experience for everything you need, whether you're a beginner, you're old, you're young, you live in America, Australia, whatever. It's all a personalized experience. We have something depending on what you're after, right? You walk away with a done-for-you plan, exact steps you need to take within the membership, and we build that to get clarity. That was Jason, who was staring at an 80% loss, holding a bunch of coins, and he's now up 2.5x. All right, he completely turned his portfolio around after one strategy session. You can watch all of these, by the way, on our website, which I'll share the link with you soon. All right, he's fast-tracked his gains and has a new mindset and confidence to execute a clear plan. You get 11 monthly group calls. We call them the forum calls. These are Google Meets. These are video calls. So you skip the noise, avoid common mistakes. And like we just did today, we do these every month, but we don't just share the 3%. We share the 97%. We give you everything, insights, everything you need. All right. And most Platinum members make their money back just from these calls alone. For Ron, this was a game changer. He saved so much time and stress just by following the team's strategy. He cut through the noise, avoided costly errors, and simply by tuning in each month, he saved the time and leveling up his results. You get the private WhatsApp community with all the alpha. That's where I mentioned Bill before. As a Platinum member, you get access to all of our 5 channels, including the DGen channel, for all of our insights, all of my alerts, everything in there. And that's where Bill made that $120,000 from the WhatsApp. All right, busy guy, has a huge property portfolio, and he got in and out and made 120K on the road to Melbourne. It's mind-boggling. You get 24/7 crypto support, so direct access to me and the team. Questions about your portfolio, new coin, don't know what to do about this. You get direct access to me and the team through our WhatsApp. No bots, no delay. All right, and we're able to do this because it's a highly curated group. For Brady, it's fast, helpful response. It's real people, no bots. He just signed up for a second year. We caught up in Melbourne last week, went through his strategy. He's crushing it. right? Whether it's a strategy check or market question, Ken always gets what he needs instantly, and that's the platinum difference. And then you get all my direct alerts. So this morning I just bought more crypto and told you exactly what I was doing and when. You get that delivered live in your WhatsApp, so you don't have to sit on the charts all day and do it all yourself. Right now, you can actually outsource the decision making to someone with a track record. And honestly, this is what I'm doing personally. All right, and that was back in 2021. Just some screenshots of the profit taking, and I share, what I'm actually taking out, the percentages. All right, share with you exactly what I'm doing, because if I know with that in mind, you're going to get better results and then better success for both of us. For Kent, he travels, he's a business owner, runs an e-commerce company. Knowing what and when to sell is everything, and that clarity changed the game. So timing exits used to be the hardest part, and now it's handled with clarity and conviction. Okay. You get your dedicated account manager, so your own crypto concierge. So you have your own personal contact inside the team for onboarding, exchange navigation, introductions, tax, wallet, everything you need. All right. We shortcut and save you time. That is what the platinum is about, fast tracking. All right. And a recent platinum signed up. I saved him $13,000 just from a personal introduction to an exchange, from actually buying and selling on far cheaper rates than where it was at the moment. A lot of these exchanges are absolutely taking you for a ride. You also get access to our full research platform that actually help. Like Platinum gives you access to everything Matt and Simon showed you today on the platform: token ratings, reports, frameworks, everything. What to avoid, where the opportunities lie, our updated tokenomics, all the ratings, everything live. Access, you can log into your own platform, track your own dashboard. Everything's in there. Hundreds of educational resources. There's so much amazing stuff. All right, Liz. Liz is in her retirement. She, is investing through her SMSF. She uses the platform every week and cuts through the noise to help her stay ahead. She's over in Europe at the moment because we stacked her a bunch of Bitcoin last year. She sold down a bunch, and now she's over with her husband traveling Europe. Right? And Liz isn't a crypto degen. She's not really a crypto bro. Right? But she's amazing to work with. We set up with a strategy, and she talks about how the platform and Collective Shift is a game changer. All right? It keeps her confident and informed. So everything you get up as a platinum member publicly, this is what you get. All right? And I'll get the guys to add the link to check it out, because we've got an end of financial year offer, all right, coming up to the end of financial year, where we have some exclusive stuff only available for all of you that joined in live for the rest of June. So you get the head coach session, the platinum video calls, the WhatsApp, the support, the direct alerts, everything. All right. So the next step, before I share those bonuses, if you are interested, we take these one by one, and you schedule a call with DT, who you met earlier. He's our head of member success. And we just see if it's a good fit. But this is an application call because we want to see if it is a good fit. And please, please, please do not book a call if you have less than $250,000, because you won't be accepted. All right. Unless you have cash that you want to deploy to get over $250,000 in crypto. All right. That's in Aussie dollars. Go over, click the link, check out the platinum page. It has everything there, and you can book a call to apply. DT has limited spots. Okay, put in some details. He'll jump on a call, see if it's a good fit. You can ask questions and see where it is from there. Now, what I'm really excited to share is we have some special bonuses available for you. Worked out to be 7 days to the end of June. All right, end of financial year. So if you book a call and you are approved for platinum, you're going to get an extra special set of bonuses completely free as part of our end of year financial special. All right. So what I just said to you, what we just shared is available publicly, but I've shared the public version and I've saved the best to last, right? These are genuine perks. And you're probably wondering why we're even doing this. I'm going to share that with you in a second. So I'm super excited because every year we do an in-person strategy workshop. In July, in Melbourne, a month away, we have a full day of insights, workshop, guest speakers, unforgettable insights and learnings from our team and all of our platinum members. All right, private networking, drinks, premium venue in the city. You can come along, work on your strategy, meet everyone. We genuinely, this is actually no BS, have 10 spots left. We can only fit 90 platinum members. There is currently 80 clients that are coming and have a ticket. So we only have 10 spots. So the first 10 people that get approved for platinum today will get one ticket to this. Okay? That's the first 10 in order of the application and when you do the call. After that, it's like we genuinely can't fit anymore. You will also get, as part of this offer, an end-of-year platinum private party ticket. So in Oz CryptoCon in November, we have our own platinum end-of-year party. Now, this is going to be absolutely epic. Rooftop, DJs, all the platinum crew. You can bring a partner, bring your wife, bring your husband. It's where all of our platinum comes together, celebrates, probably gets probably have a few more champagnes than what you would have hoped. But it's going to be a cracking night. It's a bunch of fun after a big year of making some money in the group. Platinum only event, private in Sydney. You get 11 additional monthly pro workshops with Matt, Simon, and I. So every month I do a strategy session. Matt and Simon do one of these with our pro members. You get access to all of these. All right. When I go and do one-on-one sessions with anyone or group sessions, I usually charge around $3,500 for an hour. You'll get this as part of that. Every month I do an extra strategy session. You get all of the personal introductions. All right. So OTC, accountants, brokers, lawyers, everything, exchanges, everything you get goes through our platform, and we can do personal introductions through our strategy for the platinums. All the access to the shift list, which I just spoke about, the research dashboard, that's how Syrup was found, Pendle, Sol, Sui, all of that updated live. You get all of that. And probably, I think, saving the best to last, what I'm also willing to do is I'm throwing in a one-on-one strategy call with me as part of this end of financial year offer. So I usually don't do these. I did it for the summit, all right, that we did about a month ago, and I loved it. But I had 33 enrollments that we had. I did 33 one-on-ones over the last month, all right? It was a lot, but I loved it. And I realized the impact I can have on people, so I want to do it again, all right? So you get a private one-on-one strategy session with me, video call, we sit down, we go through everything. I do not do this externally. I get asked all the time, Ben, can you look at my portfolio? Can we do a one-on-one? No. I used to charge $5,000 a session. That is now coming in as a one-on-one through this offer, all right? Not available outside the platinum. Kieran, as I mentioned before, up 2.5x after working with me. He was down a lot before doing a strategy session with me. Chris, I helped him with his mortgage and his sell strategy to sell down to the top and buy his property. You can see his success story on our website. Alex, he's a platinum client from Sydney. He's an executive, a busy guy, has a big portfolio. If you have a large crypto portfolio and a busy life, he'd definitely recommend reaching out to me and the team. It's not cheap, but losing money is far from mistakes is far more painful. Or the one-on-one with Indigo, she doubled her portfolio, right? And that's what she got from Collective Shift, having meaningful connections, doubling your portfolio and saving time. This is a fast track. I give you all of my experiences, all of my insights, tell you what I think to not make all the same mistakes that a lot of you are going to make or have already made. I'll just fast track you. All right. So all of this, you're going to get the one-on-one strategy session with me, the workshop, the end of year party, the 11 additional workshops, the discounts, the one-on-one with me, and the shift list. Probably worth, I don't know, who knows? At least 20 grand, I would have said, right? If you are approved in platinum within the next 7 days. So you get all of that I mentioned at the start, plus the bonuses for the end of financial year offer. Okay. So click the link. I think it's in the chat here somewhere. And go over and check it out. Okay. Spots are very, very limited. Like very, very limited. As I said, we only select people that we really want to work with. Okay. Go over, speak to DT and check it out. Now, you're probably going, cool, Ben, but you spoke about the risk before. We're on the same team. We offer a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. You have zero risk. All right. Within 30 days, no questions asked. From when you sign up, you get a 30-day money back guarantee. Okay. Why do we do that? Well, I believe so much in the product, and I want you to know that this is not a bullshit thing, genuinely. All right. And if you jump in and you go, you know what, this is not for me. Ben was full of shit, which I'm not, and it's not for you. We give you money back. Okay. The other thing as well is for most people, it's tax deductible. All right. You have to check with your tax accountant. Please do that. I'm not a tax agent. But for a lot of our clients, you can actually deduct this off your tax. So you can reduce the fee off your capital gains. For some people, please check. For some people, you can also do it through your company and SMSF. Again, please check with your tax accountant, but you can do that for some people. You plug into your system, into our system that's already used by 150 clients. It's no lock-in, and we'll just give you your money back if it's not for you. So what does it actually cost? Well, yeah, it's an investment. But if you think about it, after a tax deduction, let's say at 40%, right? You have $250,000 in crypto. The net cost is about $9 grand, 3.6% of your portfolio. $500,000, 1.8%. You have $1 million portfolio, it's about 0.9%. If we can make you more than 3.6% if you have $250,000 over the course of the year, we've done our job. That's the way I think about it. If you think I can have an impact on you on 3.6% of your portfolio, then you're ahead. And by the way, we just made 1,000% on one investment on Syrup. Not guaranteeing returns because it's different and the strategy will be completely different now. But that's what I want to do. All right. That's the only way this works. Because if you don't, we don't make money any other way. We're just spending all of my team's time on you and you're going to leave. Like that. It's not commercially viable. Why on earth would I do that? Kent, as I mentioned, made 50K in a week from joining up. All right. Changing his portfolio. So why, if we're so good, you're asking, well, why are we doing a limited time offer? Why do you need all these bonuses to sell your thing? Well, number one, we're coming up to end of financial year. Number two, the bull market is in full gear and will most likely be over very soon, right? So we've opened up a short window for people that are genuinely serious to genuinely fast track their strategy and be ready to actually crush the end of this bull market. Because this time next year might be all over and we're back to, looking at the next round of investments in the bear market. All right. And once we fill the spots that we've allocated, we fill the team's calendar with time. Once they are filled, it usually goes back to a 3-month waiting list. Okay. And then you're waiting 3 months to get onboarded. We won't speak for a long time. If at all we do that, unless in this window you're allocated to some of those people. If you are less than 250,000, all right, you can still apply. All right. If you have less than 250, even if you're between 100 and 250 and you're genuinely serious, we do need to have an application call to see if you're a good fit. All right. Best thing to do is jump on a call and have a look. All right. But more often than not, it's going to be a no. Benny's one of our clients. He talks about Collective Shift is his Web3 bullshit filter. He came across the crew after developing their own platform in the early days, and we are his bullshit nonsense filter. He talks about Robert Kiyosaki has said that business and investing is a team sport, and he has chosen Collective Shift to be a part of his team. Genuine humans providing real quality research, all right, in the wild, wild west of Web3. Hence why he will still and will always continue to be a member into the future. Stop following influencers. Be amongst those that are truly stoked on this space. Now, what's the real cost of guessing versus getting it right? Because there's other alternatives, right? And we've looked at these because I've built what I wish I had when I started, which is this platinum thing. All right. You can go to crypto YouTubers and influencers and stay there and spend 4 or 5 hours a week. All right. Probably lose 25, 50K, depending on how much of your portfolio based on crappy altcoins. It's hype driven. It's inconsistent. They tell you one thing one day and something the next day. No personalized information. You can do it on your own. Probably triple the amount of time you're trying to do it on your own. Probably lose even more money because you've got no one to bounce it off. All right. And depends on the luck. Maybe the time spent. Maybe you got one winner. Maybe you got an altcoin and then you got super confident. All right. Luck is a crazy thing in crypto. Right. Maybe you try and use all the analytics tools that, we've developed over the last 8 years. They're amazing, but you're going to have to spend a lot of time figuring it out. And it's just data. Data without direction is nowhere. You're driving a ship with no direction. Right. What we've tried to do is get the fast track information. You spend less than an hour a week. You're saving at least, depending on your portfolio size, tens of thousands of dollars on poor investment decisions because you have us to run it by. And you have real results with a money back guarantee within 30 days if it's not for you. All right. And you get the personalized support. All right. Chris Judd is one of those members and he's super bullish on crypto and he needs that support and he's super busy. All right. I'm not sure where my presentation just went, gentlemen. Josh, if you could bring up my slides, that'd be great. I might answer some questions while we go there. Timmy, if we qualify and ready to go, do I still need to book a call? Yes. Yes, you do, because it's an application call. All right. If you're ready to go, we'll have a call and then we'll see if you're a good fit. Then we'll show you the onboarding process. All right. I'll talk about some of these questions coming through in a second. Now, for some of you, you're like, well, maybe I'm not ready yet. I'll come back later. Okay. This is exactly what most investors said last cycle. And then guess what? They never came back. The people who won is actually genuinely got prepared before they felt ready. All right. No one wants to be, it's very hard to be proactive on things. Like people are really only sort of update things and fix things in a disaster. All right. Your portfolio will not magically fix itself by you just going, oh, I might come back later when I'm more ready. Because the reality is you're going to go back to your job and then forget about it and still make poor decisions. If there's a storm coming, you don't wait for the storm to come and then build it. You build it before it comes. Otherwise, you just get smashed and lose everything. And I see it all the time. Oh, I'm not ready. I'll wait until the bull market comes. I'll wait until my portfolio goes up. Well, by the time it comes up and you're now trying to figure it out, you're already too late. Ryan was one of those guys. He joined up and he talks about, think about what you can make when you do it, when you actually have an exit strategy and be successful versus the entry price of the membership. He was trying to trade crypto, do everything alone, and he realized that time would be far better spent working with us, developing an exit strategy that made multiples more. He joined Platinum and followed the sell strategy, found a group of people doing similar things, and now he's crushing it. All right, he's on to his second year. Now, some of you are going, well, maybe I could spend that $15,000 in the market. Sure, obviously, But what is that 15K going to get you? Another 5K, you put into another shitty altcoin, maybe put in Bitcoin. Again, I believe in Bitcoin. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I'm saying is that if your portfolio grows from 250K to 500 to $1 million, all right, your portfolio could double, triple, 5X. And if you don't take profits at the right time, none of that is important. So you can buy till the cows come home. That's the easy part. Selling is the most important part. This is an investment into helping you lock in those gains and not actually watch them evaporate like you have every other cycle. We saved back in 2022, for those who were around, FTX blew up. All right. And Celsius blew up. And I saw someone in the chat saying they lost $1 million in Celsius. And I'm so sorry this happened. We actually warned our members of FTX and Celsius before it happened because we saw it and we're monitoring it ourselves because we're investors. We want you to know where the best place is to buy and hold. All right. Thank you very much, Collective Shift team. I followed your advice and very glad to have done it, worth every penny of your membership. Anthony, back in 2022, a big thanks to Ben Simpson for warning the Collective Shift to get assets off FTX and exchanges in general. Well done, champ. Taking care of others. All right. That you're protecting the downside as well, folks. This is important to understand this, that the reason our clients are so successful is it's not just, we find a good altcoin. It's not just that. It's everything else that comes with it. Strategy, portfolio, exit, altcoins, accountability, in-person workshops, community, downside risk, exchanges, lawyers, updated information, narratives. That's what's going on. That's why it cost me $150,000 a month to stay on top of all of it. Okay. And that's our edge. And that's what you get access to if you want to join. So you can keep doing it alone. And honestly, you're going to be way better after this session than ever before. So please go keep doing it. Or you can follow a proven system that genuinely works. You've seen the results. You've seen the proof. And this is your decision. All right. Grant is one of our platinum clients who talks about us as second to none. He just re-signed for another year as platinum. And he posted this in the platinum chat. He's a Kiwi over the ditch. And he talks about how the information is second to none. All right. Now, booking a call, it's not a payment page. We don't do sales. We're not that. We want to know if you're a good fit for the group. And if you're not, that's great because we want to really filter out who's in it and who's not. And it's also for you to see if it's a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, amazing. You're going to leave that call with clarity. And it's to David only. David's the only guy that I trust in our team to do those calls, application calls. And we'll give you the best chance you've had this cycle, in my opinion. And if not, all the risk is on us because within 30 days, you go, you know what? I didn't like that. No worries. Bye-bye. I'll give you money back. Jaden's third bull market is bag profits every single time. Okay? The risk is on us. If you're accepted and you sign up, we have a no questions asked money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied for any reason, we just contact us and we give you money back. The risk is genuinely on me. I have to have a one-on-one with you and spend a bunch of time trying to help you. And if you still think I'm not worth it, we'll give you money back. All right? And for me, again, the 15,000 doesn't change anything. What does is having a group of highly, qualified, really awesome people in a group that I love working with to help them make money, and then we can all win. That's what's far more important for me. All right. Peter talks about how it's a perfect service for any investor who wants hands-on tailored advice. And everything you get, I just mentioned, strategy session, head coach, 11 calls, 24/7 support, the WhatsApp, the community, alerts from me, the account manager, the research. The bonuses you get is a strategy call with me, the 10 spots we have for the in-person strategy session. All right. We also have the member discounts, the shift lists, and everything else. Now, if you have $250,000 to invest, or I'm getting some questions here, If you have $250,000 to invest, but no crypto, that is fine. All right. If you're just below the 250, again, it's not absolutely like cut off, but we just really want to ensure that you're going to get to beyond 250. So if you're trying to get into crypto and you don't know where to start, and you have a bunch of property, you're already a large investor, we're happy to speak to you. We're just not in it for the people that want to do the 10x Moon Lambo crap. Okay. All you need to do, jump in, book a call, see if it's a good fit. This is absolutely for all investor levels as well. As I said, that's where the head coach comes into play. So you get a tailored, personalized plan, all right, which is awesome. So no matter if you're beginner, intermediate, old, young, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Derek, why 250? Because we realize that those people, it's about community. It's about being at a peer level. We find that we can make the most impact for people that are above and beyond that. Head over and book a call, money back guarantee, and we're ready when you are.